We're live, fellas. Welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in tonight. What are we on? Saturday, the 5th of August. Bit of a shitty day. The Cowboys got rolled tonight by the Broncos. The Cowboys had a terrible.
Live now.
Hang on. I got feedback, fellas. Hang on. Righto.
No, we're all good.
How's that?
Yep.
What
good
happened?
stuff, mate.
I've got another tab open, everyone, so I can conduct the polls, and I had the volume up on that, and there's a lag, so that's why you can hear me. So give us a thumbs up, guys, if you can hear me, and you can see Rob, Steve, and myself. Welcome, Snorky. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for
How you
having
going,
us.
mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Steve's had a big day, everyone. He drove home from New South Wales today, mate. You've been on the road all day, so I really appreciate you tuning in tonight and coming on. Absolutely fantastic. We're 67 on, which is good, so we'll probably get her up to 82. She's starting to build up now. Dicko's destination, all saying all good. Good stuff. Susie Ellam's on. Jack Turtle. He's an old
Hey,
tower
Jack.
from way back. G'day, Jack. How are you, mate? Hope you're well.
Old Ty Fendrick's on there. How you going, mate?
Yeah, Ty's been on for me and Snorky have been on for probably 45 minutes, just
Been
making
a while.
sure everything tests and that. And Ty's been on just about that whole time. So welcome, Ty. Hope you're well, mate. Who else is
Hey,
on? Eddie Gwen.
As well.
Jared Hand's been on. He's making some comments there. Steve W's joining us, guys.
Lukey Reed.
Terry G. Where'd Steve W go? I lost his comment. Just as you go to click on it, they move up and you end up clicking on the thing. Brad Howell's joining us, guys. Brad and Mary over there in the
Awesome.
USA, on holidays in the USA at the moment. He's still over in Florida, Brad.
Hope you're
yes.
enjoying the trip, Brad and Mary.
Yeah. So Brad and Mary joining us from the States. Steve W's on from over there in England.
Yeah, he said all good in Pommyland.
Who is?
Steve said all good in Pommyland.
Yeah. G'day, Steve. Nags is on, guys. Great to see all the regulars back. And Andy Rick, speaking of Poms, Andy's on.
Yeah.
Morning, everyone. Andy's on over in the UK as well. G'day, Andy. How are you, mate? Thanks for tuning in. Well, this is going to Fort Lauderdale. Lauderdale, I think it is. Yes, mate, Fort Lauderdale. There you go. Which is, where's that? Florida, is it? I think. Fort Lauderdale.
Got some friends down in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I watch
windy.
YouTuber. He's in I forget the name, but anyway, deer meat for dinner, and he's out of Jupiter in Florida.
Yeah.
Out there. So Gidgy Gorilla's on, guys, me brother, with the blue spanner tonight. So hey, listen, tonight, everyone, we'll get into it. Tonight's going to be, it's a very important topic we're going to be talking about. And Rob and Steve said, don't think that everything we say tonight, us three will probably disagree tonight. This is going to be one of those nights where we want your feedback, and I'm going to do some polls and everything because I know that not everyone agrees with what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be asking some questions, and you'll get your chance to vote, guys. So don't think that because I say something will be a good idea. I know a lot of you out there will say you don't agree with it, and it's going to be one of those subjects. It's not a subject where 99% of the people will agree with it. I've already seen by the comment section, there's already people on here that don't agree with thing. Now, one of the things was, should we have to do a towing course? That's just going to be one of the many questions tonight that we're going to ask. But tonight we're going to talk about stuff. And the other thing I want to do, bit of disclosure, three of us diddly donks that you see on your screen tonight, guys, are bloody an expert in this area. All we're trying to do tonight is make everyone aware and bring up some things. And I'm sure everyone will go away tonight thinking, shit, I didn't know that, or I haven't done that, and I bloody need to. And that's what it's about, Rob, tonight, isn't it? Making everyone aware.
Yeah. It's great that you're doing this tonight, mate. Hey, because like one thing I've noticed, there are things out there that people aren't aware of, and like we all tow, caravans or trailers and all that type of stuff. And I personally think it's a good thing for everybody to discuss, so that you can learn about, what you maybe don't know, and what you need to research up on, and what you need to know before you actually start towing a trailer or something like that as well.
Yeah, and we're going to try and educate people tonight. We're not experts. None of us admit to being experts in this trade. I only towed a caravan for the first time when I got the Sirocco, 12 months ago. So I'm far from I've done a lot of towing in the Army and towing trailers in the Army and all that type of stuff. And I know how to reverse a trailer and that, but actually towing a caravan, I'd never done it before until I got the Sirocco and towed the Sirocco back from Brisbane to Innisfail. And I'm pretty confident with it now. But there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot to be aware of. And it's not just a matter of hooking it up and going for it. You've got to know a lot. And fellas, what I want to do, just to introduce the night, I just want to try and do a little present a couple of little videos, and I'll do the first one, and it's going to set the tone for tonight. So bear with me, guys. I'm not real good on these computers. I wish Rob had the bloody controls. It's like three of us up in an aeroplane, and I'm flying it, and I'm the apprentice. So anyway, bear with me. I'm going to try and show. This one's going to set the scene, guys. If I stuff it up, bear with me. I'll try and get back on track. So I'm going to present. I'm going to share the screen. And it's going to be this one here.
Beauty.
Can you all see that?
Yep, that's good, mate.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Watch this. It's short and sweet. Oh.
Yeah. One thing that I can see there straight away, mate, is I don't think he had a camera on the back of that thing. Is one thing I think. I saw that, mate, and I thought, has he got a camera on the back of that? Because how the hell did he end up in that truck?
That was bad.
Yeah, he didn't leave a lot of room, did he?
No,
he didn't. That was, and obviously he's panicked because he's seeing vehicles coming the other way.
Yeah, that the other thing too is just you could just tell that he didn't have enough room between vehicles to be even overtaking. That was a tight overtake for just a vehicle only. He had a big caravan on the back, and he tried to squeeze her in. So he's obviously tried to overtake. He hasn't had enough power to get in there. There wasn't enough gap between those two vehicles for him to get in. He's seen the oncoming traffic, and he's gone in, and his bloody caravan has hit the front of that truck, and it's things of bloody shits or trumps. And let's hope no one was killed in that. I think Jack Turtle. Jack, do you know the guys in that? I thought you made a mention of that on my Facebook, that you knew the people that were towing that caravan, Jack. I'm not sure if that was the clip or not. You said they were acquaintances of ours. But you said, Robbie, probably think we're going to talk about a UHF. A UHF would have been handy in that play too, where the truckies will normally say, all right, mate, you're clear, and that lets you know you've cleared the truck and you can come in. But he's panicked. He shouldn't have overtaken to start with. He's gone, shit, there's oncoming traffic. I haven't got around the truck quick enough. He's tried to come in, and the truckie, there just wasn't enough room. Thank God those two motorcyclists are okay, Steve. They oncoming.
Oh yeah, like
motorcyclists get killed, mate.
It's
I'll tell you what, they would have been getting into the paddles in the sack to get a new pair of undies out. I tell you.
Oh mate, that good. They did well to pull up those two motorbikes, but that was just horrific, wasn't it? Gary Pye's on.
Something that
I've seen this happen numerous times on the Stewart and Bruce highways. Yeah, exactly, Gary.
Something I've noticed, Buck, is like when you're towing a caravan and you've never towed it before, the weight that's behind you slows your vehicle down. You don't have the same performance you normally would. And I don't know that, when you're new to a caravan, you probably don't realise that you're not going to be able to overtake vehicles the same way. And it takes you longer, and you've got to have clearance to be able to get over.
I'll tell you now, mate, for me to get the BT and the Sirocco around thing, I needed a lot of space, mate. And I mean a lot of space. It's having 2.5 ton hanging off the arse of your car. As you said, you can usually get around, but when you're towing, you're overtaking. Why caravans? There should be rarely should caravans need to overtake. I know there's going to be things where they do, but I didn't do a lot of overtaking. In 5 months, I didn't overtake a lot of people. I was happy to sit on 95, 100 on good roads, or there was areas there where I sat on 90, and I was happy for people to go around me. I mean, you're on holidays, you're in no hurry. That guy's towing a caravan. He's on holidays. What was his hurry to get anywhere? That was the end of his holiday there. Luckily, no one was. Well, I hope no one was hurt. So
Jack Turtle just said he knows the bloke in the ute.
That role.
Yeah. He said he knows the bloke in the ute. So
yeah, I remember Jack saying something about that. Listen, I'd like to show another video just to set the tone. This one goes for 7 minutes, guys. Hang in there. It's very interesting. It appeared on the project, okay, and there's some very interesting. It shows you some stuff come up. Now, listen, the old fella at the start of this video, he's hanging upside down and he's got no undies on. I'll give you a warning now. His Jack's crackers nearly pop out, but he was hanging upside down after he rolls his caravan. So what I'm going to do is sit back with a beer and let's watch this. And then when we get back, we'll get stuck in and we'll get into the nuts and guts of it, eh?
Isn't that how you do your live feeds, Buck?
Hey?
Don't you do your live feeds like that as well?
That's
in your undies?
In me underwear. No, I've got shorts on. Yeah.
Upside down.
Well, that's not it. Might be this one here. Let's see if this is the one. Yeah, all right. So I'll maximize this. Can everyone see the screen there?
Yeah, beautiful, mate.
Not just in a car. Your
sit back and watch.
Combined weight is a deadly weapon.
It's May this year in central Queensland. Driving conditions are perfect, but then suddenly...
My thoughts were, oh shit.
Careful. Oh shit. Oh shit. Don't brake. Oh! You okay? Yeah,
hold ya.
Okay.
Upside down and trapped inside are two 73-year-old retirees, driver Jim Ennis and passenger Steve McClung.
Push up if you can with your knees.
Imagine if that vehicle caught fire now and you're stuck in there.
Every time you see the wreck of particularly a caravan, your stomach drops. You try and wonder or try and figure out
accelerated.
They did what they were doing. When a caravan wrecks, it wrecks.
On the roads and highways around Australia this year, it's been caravan carnage.
Oh.
Large vans that are simply too unstable on the road, either because they're too heavy or the weight inside them has not been distributed evenly.
And you've also got car and caravan hurtling down the road, which can be 5 ton plus. I do have concerns about more lives being lost of caravanners.
Jim and Steve from Newcastle were on a boys' own adventure, taking their $100,000 Toyota Land Cruiser and $100,000 Kedron Caravan on a 10-week trip around Queensland. When it came to safe towing, they certainly knew the basics.
Not excessive speeds at any time. Even on motorways, we would always try and keep to 90. I think towing is just a case of common sense. And we did do the course in the very beginning. We learned how to effectively load the van.
But despite all their precautions, things came unstuck near Charleville.
He began to drift towards the left. Once we got into that fishtail effect, we were trained to hit the accelerator when that happens. The problem is that your brain doesn't think that way in an emergency.
Yeah. He should have hit the accelerator. I said the exact same thing.
You okay?
My thoughts were, well, this is it. This is how life is going to end.
To think that we walked away from that.
Jim was standing there in something of a daze and sort of turned to me and said, "Who was driving?" And that was a shock.
Yes. I really had no concept of what had happened. Why do I think the accident happened? I honestly cannot answer that question.
8 weeks before Jim and Steve's crash, this horrifying scene confronted police near the small town of Harvey in Western Australia. A four-wheel drive and a fully loaded caravan with an elderly couple trapped inside.
Push that seatbelt in for me, please.
Quickly, sir.
Go on, man. So glad to see you alive.
Seconds after being pulled from the wreckage, the van's gas bottles exploded. The spike in crashes is perhaps a direct result of this, a caravan craze that's been sweeping the country. Wait times for some vans can top 2 years.
It was busy prior to COVID, but now it's just spurred on tenfold.
This is the Queensland Caravan Super Show. Forget your grandparents' old box on wheels. These caravans are more like a small luxury apartment. It can cost anywhere up to $200,000.
TVs, inverters, twin slide-outs, galley-style kitchen, Italian leather. It's everything we can do to the best, this has it.
There's over 200 companies represented here, showcasing thousands of caravans. And tucked away in one dimly lit corner is this man.
Even that back corner of the caravan, you've still got to be able to see that.
Sergeant Brett Vincent from Queensland Police, whose job it is to educate the caravanning public.
I'm a caravaner myself, that's why I'm down here.
Brett cites uneven weight distribution as the major reason why there are so many caravan crashes.
Whether that's a weight issue in relation to the tow vehicle, whether it be tail heavy, front light, or weight issue in relation to the caravan itself. The caravan could be way over its legal weight limit, or even the tow vehicle might be way over its legal weight limit.
And there's a right and wrong way to load your caravan.
In a caravan, you definitely don't want to be putting heavy items up high. You want to keep them down low over the axles, preferably. You don't want a lot of heavy weight behind the axles, and you don't want a lot of heavy weight too far forward of the axles. Me personally, I'd like to see a licence introduced and an actual practical test for people. So they feel confident behind the wheel, towing the caravan, and also not only towing the caravan forward, but also reversing. Yeah, so you've got to have a licence for a motorcycle, boat, jet ski, car, light rigid truck, heavy rigid truck, everything else, everything except towing.
Now back in Newcastle, Jim and Steve are taking life in the slow lane. Happy to be off the road for the time being.
To be honest with you, it has put me off driving. Material things, possessions can be replaced. Lives can't. And that probably is the main thought that's come away from the whole experience, is I could have easily been responsible for the death of my friend.
Wow. Oh, wow. There goes my green nomad dreams.
Wow.
Yeah, mate, a lot of stuff going on that, wasn't there? It was interesting. Something I was going to mention before that I saw when that vehicle's overtaking. I know sometimes you can get vehicles sway on your trailer. You've probably been a little bit familiar with that, and depends upon the weight, whether you got too much weight at the back end or at the front.
Yeah.
And I noticed they mentioned that when they were talking about the training that they were doing there as well. Yeah.
And weight distribution is a big part of it. And this is what we're going to talk about soon, fellas, is if there was some a nationally recognised caravan towing course out there, that's part of the part of the thing is how to load your caravan properly. I know you put too much weight at the back of a caravan. That's what gives it the thing. Obviously overcorrecting and all that type of stuff as well, but you put too much weight down the arse end of your caravan. My caravan, the Jawa Sirocco, I found was probably more front heavy than back heavy, but one thing I will give the Sirocco, it towed very well. I had no sway whatsoever, and I was always conscious of that I didn't have any sway, and it towed beautifully behind the BT50. But some of those caravans we saw there, they get that big whip action, and they start. And you saw that guy, he just drifted over, just lost his concentration, drifted left, and he flick the steering wheel, and that's all it takes. And if you're not loaded properly, or you've got too much weight down the arse end or on one side, that little flick of the steering wheel, and it's game over. And thank goodness those two old fellas were okay. That accident over in Harvey in Western Australia where the gas bottles went up, that was a close thing. Yeah, so the dot trailer tows like a tree. Yeah, the dot trailer. Now, listen, one thing I think we've forgotten to mention, a lot of people were going, surely you shouldn't have to do a towing course, Buck, for a box trailer and that. And now there's two different things here, guys. I think nationally in Australia, anything under 750 kilograms is what they call unbraked towing. And I'm talking about a box trailer to go to the dump. My tinny, my boat, something that you tow that does not need a brake controller. So it's under 750 kilograms. We're going to wipe that out. None of us are saying, I don't think that you should have to go and do a course to tow a box trailer or a tinny down to the boat ramp. We're going to concentrate totally on not just caravans, guys, but large boats, big horse floats and things like that need a brake controller. And I know that there's people, I've heard stories of people turning up to pick their caravan up and they didn't even have a brake controller on their vehicle because they didn't know they needed one. That's how out of touch people are with towing and that. And that's why we're going to go into some pros and cons of whether there should be a towing course. And what's that, Ross? Someone binging. Everyone tries to get onto me when I'm doing a live feed. So if you're watching me, guys, Ross will monitor that. Don't worry about it. I'm busy. So listen, and there was the sergeant on there brought up a good point. Now, when I wanted to get my boat license, my recreational marine boat license, I had to go and do I think it was a 2-day course to get my marine license. If you want to go and get a jet ski license, PWC license, you've got to go and do a course on that. If you want to do a medium rigid or a multi-combination, you've got to work up through. You've got to go through and get tested on it and get your hours up on that. But yet we can go, and in Queensland, a learner or a P-plater can go and hook up a 21-foot caravan, and as long as he puts the learner or P-plate on the back of that caravan, he can tow it around. There's no course. There's no nothing to tow in Queensland. I think some out there is restrictions on what P-platers can tow, but in Queensland, there isn't. You can just tow whatever you want as long as you've got the appropriate label on the back of the caravan.
It's something that concerns me too, mate. Hey, like you see people out there, I personally think we should all do some type of training. I know not everybody here is going to agree with that. The reason I believe that is because, I've done my forklift driver's license as well. So you've got that license you can add to it. And that when you go out there, you do training of theory stuff, first of all, and then you go out and you actually do the training on the stuff. And it's good to learn about all the things you need to know about that particular type of equipment. It's the same with a caravan. It's where you load stuff and the weight limits that thing's set at and the weight limit of your vehicle and the gross combined mass between the two of them. They're things that are very important. And if you go over it and you have an accident, then you're liable. And, geez, you don't want to kill anybody. It would just be, and I personally don't see the harm myself in doing some type of training to help reduce that. It won't eliminate it. I'm not saying that it will, but I'm saying that the training will help reduce that because people are aware then, and people will also then be liable. They know what they should and they shouldn't do. At the moment, I mean, geez, I don't know.
If it saves one life, Snork, I think it's worth it. And I know Jared out there said that we shouldn't have to do a towing course and that, and we're going to do a poll on this soon, guys. But I know in the Army, if you wanted, before you touched a weapon or a vehicle or any sort of equipment, you had to do a course on it to make sure you were competent to run that piece of equipment. Any new weapon that came into the Australian Army, you had to do a conversion course on it, and you had to be signed off on it before you were allowed to bloody go to the range and shoot it. It was like that. And forklift, Rob, as you were saying, you want to drive a forklift, you've got to go and do a forklift course.
Yeah, well, Ty Fendricks just said anything over 2.5 ton, I think should have a course. And I know Ty's just recently got a Caravan and been towing it all over the place. And
yeah,
we were talking about this earlier, hey, about doing courses and like that stuff. And I don't see why they can't set up a course. You know, you could have like a 3-year window, and the last 2 years of it, you've got to have the course done within. And I think that would help reduce the road tolls. I'm not saying it would eliminate it. I'm saying it would help reduce it. But that's why I feel, and I personally see a lot of benefit in it, because there's things that we're each of us, we all admit there's things we don't know, and I think
you're talking about forklift license. Like we've just gone through it all at Woolies. I remember when I first started at Woolies, the guy trained me on using the forklift, and it was just one of the other workers in the store, and he says, "Here, grab the pallet down, pull it down, put it up, go backwards, go forwards," and that was it. And I was driving the forklift around for about 10 years. But Woolies finally recently have got an accredited company to come in and retrain every staff member because they had a staff member killed by a forklift. So now they've realised their mistake, and now you've got to get an accreditation now to actually drive a forklift.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. So I think the same thing for caravans. That's my opinion. I personally think that it would be a good thing. I don't see any harm in it. What's the harm in doing a course to learn about these things? I see no harm in it. And if there's no harm in it, there's only benefit, then I personally think it's a good thing to do.
Gidgey just said ECN 109 course in the Army was 6 weeks long at Puckapunyal to drive Army vehicles, Land Rovers up to Unimog. So that ECN 109 course took you up to medium rigid, which was the Unimog that we had when I was in. But that course wasn't just to drive a Unimog on a road. It was cross-country, 4-wheel drive, service and maintenancing, towing. Towing was one of the modules that you had to pass on the ECM 109 course. And you had to do some pretty comprehensive reversing and all that. If you're in a Land Rover, you had the half-ton trailers and that. And if you're in the Unimogs, you had the 8-ton trailers with the axle at front and rear. So the Army was very, very into bloody making sure you did a course on anything. I remember when Commodore station wagons, that we had each unit had a couple of them to drive the commanding officer around and all that. It wasn't like an Army Land Rover. And because they had ABS brakes, anyone who wanted to drive that Commodore or Falcon that had ABS brakes, which were new back then, you had to go and do a 2-hour course on it with the transport supervisor to teach you all about ABS braking and that, because when you hit ABS braking, you can still steer and all that. Like you had to, it was all that type of stuff that went on. So, listen, I agree that we should have to do a course, but I think it needs to be a course that is a standardized course, a national curriculum. It can't be just anyone run a course and this person over in Western Australia is teaching bits and pieces, and someone in Queensland. It needs to be a national curriculum. It needs to be a training package that no matter where that course gets taught in Australia, it's the same information. It's the same information.
Yeah, that's exactly how the forklift license is done, the exact same way. So they have a course that they've got to teach and an exam that they've got to provide as well. And so they can do something like that. And they can even use the exact same places. I mean, they do forklift training. They do your different licenses for your trucks and all that type of stuff as well. So I don't see why they couldn't do something like towing a caravan.
Someone needs to take the bull by the horns, come up with a training package, and implement it. And it might have to be implemented state by state. I can't see it being a big national thing, but we'll talk about Queensland for now. I'd love to see Queensland Transport create a training package on towing, anything over 750 kilos, teaching all about the brake controller, how to hook up, all that weight distribution, what's an emergency procedure. So if you do start fishtailing, what you do, and all that stuff is part of the training package. How to reverse. It just goes right into like a military thing. You've got modules within that course that cover everything that you need to know. And as I said, we have to go, and when I wanted my boat license, I had to go out to the air sea rescue place out there and I think it was 2 days and do a theory thing, and they sit you in the classroom, they take you out and they show you physically on the water things on the boat, and then you come back and you've got to sit a written exam, and then they take you out and give you an actual test in the boat, and you've got to he throws a hat overboard, and you've got to do a Yui and go back and pick the hat up as if someone's fallen out of the boat. They test you on all that.
Yeah.
So if we have to do it for a boat and a forklift and a light rigid or a medium rigid vehicle and that, why don't we do it for a caravan? As that sergeant said in the video, it's the only thing we don't do it for. It's ridiculous. So, Steve, you got anything you want to add on that, mate?
No, I agree with everything you said there. As you know, I've only ever towed trailers and my dot trailer around. I've been doing that for about 10 years now. I've never towed a caravan, so I've got no experience with it. But I definitely would, like to do something so I got more confidence. Some of the clowns reversing caravans. Yeah, but it'd be good just to do something so you got a few more skills and you got a bit more knowledge, like Rob was saying about where weights go and things like that. Anything that can help, I'd be glad to do.
Yeah, some of that video I just showed there before, fellas, some of the stuff that I saw just looked like total inexperience, absolute inexperience, and not knowing how to react in certain situations. And I think maybe a bloody training course. It's got to be it's got to be better than that. If it saves one life a year, it's worth it, isn't it?
Well, it was interesting when I was watching those those two old guys, and they were driving along, and they flipped the car. And one thing as soon as I started to see them sway, I said you should accelerate. And it was interesting listening to them talking about how they said afterwards we probably should have accelerated, but they didn't. And it's because it's not a reaction that you generally do. Like if you're in a vehicle and it starts to do that, you tend to brake, which is normal. But if you got something behind you, you need to accelerate to pull it and get it straight again.
Yeah, it's different than that. I know Jared just said a revenue grab. I disagree there, Jared. It's not a revenue grab, mate. This is about saving lives and
not about money. I mean, we have to pay people to do the training. That's fair enough. You've got to pay for that type of stuff. It's not about revenue. It's about saving people's lives, And I mean, if you've got to pay to do that, I think it's good.
Yeah,
I think
Jared there. Phil McCavity said 100% Jared Hand. I disagree with that one. I don't think it is a revenue grab. I get where Jared's going, where it seems like you've got to pay money for everything now, and it gives people the shits. I get where Jared's going with that, but this one here is about keeping our roads safer and trying to save lives. And listen, there's a lot of caravans out there now, and YouTube is just full of caravan accidents now on dash cams and that, and some of it's bloody frightening. It really is. So,
mate, if you have somebody that dies from it, I guarantee you would have wished that you'd gone and done a course that maybe would have saved it. You can't guarantee it will, but if you've done something, if you can do anything, and I personally am all for doing a course on it myself. That's the way I view it.
Yeah, I think I remember reading down there in New South Wales, there was actually some people killed by a caravan that got away from a guy, and they found that he was overweight and had the thing packed the wrong way, and he ended up getting charged, and he didn't get any of his insurance or anything like that. So maybe a course or something like that might save you a lot of grief in the future.
Yeah, exactly right, mate.
Yeah,
I can understand where Jared's coming from. Hey, I can, and saying a revenue grab and all that. Yeah, look, fair enough, but I just think that it would be a benefit to people if they did a course. That's the way I view it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I tried to start a new poll, but I can't because this one here, and I've got to end that poll first.
Oh, we'll end it, mate.
I've done that. Is Bucket?
Well, I think they've
74% said yes, 25% so to the 25% out there. Thank you very, very much. So we'll talk more about the course in a minute. Start a poll.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know, like, how many people think that we should do a course, how many people think we shouldn't.
For
It's interesting. Like Nicky said here, you've got to have a license to drive a truck and a trailer, you know. And I mean, essentially, that's what you're driving. You're almost driving a truck and a trailer.
There you go, guys. Do you think we should have to do a towing course for braked vehicles? So we're not talking about box trailers and towing your little tinny down to the boat ramp. We're going to leave that out of there. This is for over 750. So brake camper trailers, brake caravans mainly. Imagine seeing a big horse float do that and flip with horses in it. It'd be bloody horrible. It really would.
We're not saying that this would save people. We're just saying that it would help prevent it. That's what we're saying.
Well, it's as I said, even if it prevents one loss of life thing. So get on and vote on that, guys. We've presented you with a bit of information now. One, you'd have to have a national curriculum training course. Someone would need to take the bull by the horns and come up with a training package, whether it's the police or the Department of Transport, and then they'd have to work out who's going to run the courses. Like where in Queensland can you go to do a towing course? That will be another thing. But I'm sure they can work it out. They did it with boats. They've done it with forklifts. Sure they can do it.
Ty just put up a great comment there. He just put up, you know, people will spend $100,000 on a car and caravan, but won't spend $500 to keep it straight.
Yeah, exactly right. And you saw that $100,000 Land Cruiser, that Caravan Caravan, that was more than $100,000 there, or she probably close to 150. So there's $250,000 gone in that one accident. Thank goodness the two old fellows were okay, and thank goodness no one oncoming traffic were killed. And this is what I mean. It's not just the people in the caravans, it's oncoming traffic. You've seen some of the fishtailing of those caravans. Imagine a motorbike coming in the other way. Those two motorbikes in the first clip, my goodness, how lucky were they?
Very lucky.
Unbelievable. Here, Scotty's on.
Ah.
The last trailer I built was registered and rated to 2.6 tons. But said only a small camper.
Scotty, that was one of his little trailers he builds.
Up to 2.6 tons, but still, it was a brake trailer. It's a brake trailer. I know you can probably get away with it, but you know, we're not going to say, just caravans only. We're just going to go with a pole, a braked vehicle, guys. If it's a horse float or a large boat, anything where you've got to put your brake controller in, that's what we're talking about. If you want to tow something that requires braked thing, and that's part of the course, teaching you all about brake, how to adjust your brake controller, whether it's a Red Arc or a Taconcha or whatever brand you've got. Here we go, Mick W. In Queensland, with an open license, you can drive a tractor up to 4.2. No practical, absolutely crazy. Mick, we're going to go into that now. While people vote on that poll, everyone, I'm just going to present some. We're going to go through in Queensland here, guys, the C-class license up to 4.5 tons. It doesn't include a motorbike. You've got motorbike licenses and all that. Light rigid up to 8 tons, not tons, tons, metric ton. And you can tow a trailer up to 9 ton. Medium rigid, over 8 ton vehicle. And you can tow a vehicle 9 ton up to 2 axles. Then you've got heavy rigid. Then you've got heavy combination, which is semi-trailers. And then you've got multi-combinations. You can't just get in and drive a road train or a B-double or a bloody semi-trailer. You've got to go and be tested on that, and you've got to get your hours up before you're allowed out on the road. As I said, here in Queensland, if you're a learner driver, you can go and put a 21-foot Kedron behind your bloody Land Cruiser or whatever and go driving around with it, as long as you've got your yellow learner on the back of the caravan. He hasn't even learned how to drive a friggin' vehicle properly yet, and they're going to go and throw a bloody 3-ton caravan on the back. It's just crazy. I know other states have got different rules to Queensland on that. Queensland's, I just cannot believe that you can do it. But, hey, guys, when we get into towing, there's some very, very important terminology that people need to know about. And I'll tell you now, if you tow a big caravan, guys, and you don't know the terminology we're about to start talking about, there's a fair chance you should not be towing. The amount of bloody caravans I saw on our Roz and I, January to whenever we got home a month ago, 5 weeks ago, the amount of overloaded caravans I saw was disgraceful. And I'll talk more about that later. And I said to a few drivers, I said, he'd pull in with a BT50 and a massive caravan and a tinny on top of the BT50. I said, how's your GCM, mate? And he'd go, what? He didn't even know what friggin' GCM meant. So that's what we're going to go through now, guys. And if you tow a big caravan and you don't know some of this terminology, I suggest you learn it and you know what it means. And you probably shouldn't be towing if you don't know. So we're going to go through that now. Can everyone see that okay?
Yep, see that beautifully, mate.
Well,
that's
good.
all right. So the first thing we're going to go through now is the tow vehicle. We're not talking about the caravan yet. We're just talking about the tow vehicle, the BT50 that tows your caravan. In Snorky's thing, his Ford Ranger, or in Steve's case, his FJ Cruiser. As we know, Steve's going to have a lot less weights that he can use compared to what Rob and I have got. First one is tear weight of your vehicle. Now, the tear weight of your four-wheel drive or your tow vehicle is basically your vehicle out of the factory with all the oils and radiator fluids and all that, what it needs to drive, and 10 litres of fuel in the fuel tank. That's what the tear weight of your tow vehicle is. So it's basically straight out of the factory with 10 litres of diesel in the fuel tank. That's it. Nothing else. That's a bad indication, that thing. He's got a bull bar on there and spotlights and a bloody tow bar. That's not tear weight, guys. It's your vehicle. It's your raw vehicle with 10 litres of fuel in it. Straight out of the factory.
Brad Howell just said, tear is bare.
Tear is bare, exactly right. With 10 litres of fuel to drive it out of the factory. That's basically what it is. So, Rob, if you want to take us on to the next one, mate, our curb weight.
I think Steve's done that one.
I'm going to do that one. Yeah, so the curb weight is basically just your car again out of the factory plus a full tank of fuel. So whatever your fuel tank on your car, my FJ Cruiser, I think it come out with about 170 litres of fuel. So
that's pretty impressive.
I probably got to add another 168 litres of weight into the car.
Yeah. So my curb weight on the BT50 was the BT50 out of the factory with the oil in the engine and radiator fluid and 80 litres of diesel in the fuel tank. And the same as Rob. I'm sure Rob's Ranger is the same as the BT. So that's what your curb weight is, guys. This is an important one. Your tear weight of your tow vehicle is not really important because we've all added shit onto it. So it's not important. Your curb weight is important because you'll see later on. So it's your vehicle before you put any shit on it and a full tank of fuel.
Cool. So GVM.
This one here, guys, this is bloody important. You need to know GVM. Snork, over to you, mate.
Yeah, so your GVM is the maximum weight of your vehicle. So essentially it's your curb weight plus your payload. So your payload includes anything like people, your bull bars, your other accessories you have in there, all your electronics, everything. And you've got if you are towing, it's also the total weight of your caravan added onto that as well, isn't it, Buck?
Exactly right. And a lot of people don't realise that. Your GVM, guys. So when the BT50 comes out of so its curb weight is not right on, but say 2.2 ton. Okay. Yep. The BT50's gross vehicle mass, the maximum weight my BT50 is allowed to be is 3,200 kilograms before I got the GVM upgrade. We'll talk about that later. But out of the factory, had a GVM of 3,200. Okay. That includes, so you might think, all right, it's got a payload of 1,000 kilos, but on the BT50, I've gone and added a bull bar, a winch, a UHF, a roof rack, a canopy, drawers, side steps. What else have I put? A spotties, all that type of stuff. That all eats into your payload. So your curb weight plus your payload with everything you put in that vehicle takes you up to your GVM, and your maximum GVM of the BT is 3,200. You need to know your vehicle's gross vehicle mass, guys, because that includes people in there. And I'll give you a classic example. My good mate Russ from the Townsville Chiefs got a big 200 series Land Cruiser, and he's just bought an Oztrack camper trailer, not a van like yours, Rob, a camper trailer. So Russ goes camping with his missus and three teenage kids. So that family, there's a familiar sound, that family there, that goes towards your GVM, guys. So everything you put in your vehicle goes towards your gross vehicle mass. And you can't go over 3,200 kilo in the case of the BT50. You need to know what the GVM of your vehicle is. It'll be on a placard somewhere, on a plate, maybe on the inside of your door or under your bonnet somewhere. If you don't know the GVM of your tow motor, you need to know it. Not only if you're towing, for just normal four-wheel driving, because you don't want to be over your GVM, because then it affects the brakes and your axle weights and all that type of stuff. So bull bars, winches, max tracks, luggage, people, and the tow ball weight of your caravan all go towards your GVM. I had an argument with a bloody caravan seller at the Townsville show, and we were talking, and I said, he was talking about GVMs. He had a massive caravan, and I said, oh, good luck towing that with a bloody dual cab. He said, what do you mean, mate? I said, the tow ball weight will probably sink the GVM of the vehicle. He goes, the tow ball weight doesn't count towards the vehicle's GVM. I said, yes, it does, mate. So here's a caravan salesman who didn't even know the rules. So just remember, and that's Rob, you and me, and Steve, something you've got to, Steve's looking at getting a caravan maybe in the near future, upgrading from a camper trailer to a caravan. What sank the BT50 is I bolted all this shit onto it. And then I put me, Roz and Rafa in there, and all the camping gear, and a full tank of diesel, and all that type of stuff. And I was close to my GVM of 3,200. Well, guess what? I went to the caravan. And guess what the caravan's got? It's got a tow ball weight of around about 300 kilo. And I thought, my God, it was about 3,100. So I blew my 3,200 kilos GVM out of the water with the tow ball weight of the caravan. So I had to go and get a GVM upgrade to 3,500 by getting better suspension and then getting an engineer, Rob, to inspect it, and to give it a blue plate and rate that vehicle now to 3,500 kilograms. It's not cheap to do. It's not cheap to do. So if
I've got mine done as well.
You've got a bloody four-wheel drive with all the fruit bolted onto it, and you go and buy a caravan, there's a fair chance your GVM is under siege and you may have to get a GVM upgrade, okay, a post-rego GVM upgrade, and they can give you like an extra 300 kilos if you've got the right suspension.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can get away with it, because the Sirocco blew me out of the water, mate.
Yeah, so I went up to Harvey Bay. I was up there with the guys, and I went and got the GVM upgraded at that particular time. And they take it in there, they go through and they check all your suspension, take it for a test drive, make sure it's functioning the way it should as well. And obviously go through and do all these paperwork, do all these measurements and all that sort of stuff as well. And they give you a little placard and charge you like $900,000 roughly for it. And
yeah, 880 was 880 just to inspect the upgraded suspension and go, I'll give you 3,500. So, but what it did is it made me legal. And I know there's a lot of vehicles out there that are just running normal suspension. They haven't had a GVM upgrade. They're running factory suspension, and they've put a lot of shit on their four-wheel drive, and then they throw the tow ball weight of a big caravan on it, and their GVM is blowing out of the water. And give it time, guys. The cops and transport department are going to start cracking down on it, and so they should. So GVM, that one is important. That's your vehicle, maximum weight your vehicle can be with everything in it and the tow ball weight of your caravan. Righto, was up there? Payload. Payload's basically your curb weight, and then you've got your GVM. Payload, and from memory, it was about 1,000 kilo for the BT50. So I thought, $1,000, 1,000 kilo for the BT. Then you go and put on a big steel bull bar and drawers and canopy and side steps and bigger tires and blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, your 1,000 kilos payload is down to about 200 kilo left. You eat into your payload very, very, very quickly. If you want to tow a big caravan, suggestion I make is keep your tow vehicle stock standard or close to, because if you start bolting shit onto your four-wheel drive and want to tow a big caravan, you're going to be in trouble. So your payload's basically your curb weight, the difference between your curb weight and your GVM. Hope that makes sense.
Can you get an upgrade before you purchase a vehicle? I think that's available, isn't it?
Yeah, if you get an upgrade before registration, they can usually give you more. Or I don't know how that works. And you can sometimes get a gross combination upgrade, which we're going to go on to. Now, towing capacity, who are we up to now?
I can't remember who was doing this one.
Steve, you go, mate.
Or you.
You, it was actually.
I just said the last one. All right, I'll do towing capacity. Towing capacity set by the manufacturer. And in my case, I think the BT50, most of your dual cabs now are all around the 3,500 mark. I think the new Ford Rangers, no, they're all 3,500. 3,500. So you need to know what the maximum weight you can tow your vehicle. And I'll tell you now, if you want to tow a 3.5 ton caravan with a BT50, you can do it, but I'll tell you what, she'll be stock standard. As soon as you start adding anything onto that vehicle, you're going to have to lessen you can't go up to 3.5. Okay.
Yeah, I just was reading there. Ty Fendrick said he's F250, 4.5 ton GVM, towing capacity of 4.5 ton. The GCM is 9 ton on the car license, and his van is 3.5 ton.
And Ty's still on a license. To me, that sounds like you should be on a light truck license at least, for that one. And he's still on a normal open license.
I'm not sure, but I'm sure he'll answer.
So Ty can drive, and I know Ty's an experienced bloody driver. Ty can go down in his F250 in a big caravan. He's got nearly 9 ton going down the road, and he hasn't done a course on it. I know he's probably an experienced driver, but imagine if he wasn't, and he gets a big F250, then goes and gets a big caravan, and here's a guy with minimal experience driving nearly 9 ton down the road. That's a pretty impressive GCM, Ty. Bloody 9 ton. Wow.
Raised something there too. Jared Jared Hand just raised something. He said 3.5 ton towing only exists in brochures, and to that comment, I'd actually probably agree with that, to be quite honest, because it's pretty hard to actually tow that. I mean, you could have a situation where you could do it, but I don't think you could do that very often. Yeah.
So if your curb weight of a BT50, say 2.2 ton, and you're towing 3.5 ton, what's that? 5.7. Your gross combination, the maximum combination of the BT50 or a Ford Ranger and a Caravan is 6. So there you go. You've got a 3.5 ton Caravan, and I've got a Ranger or a BT50 stock standard. Well, you're probably gone there, because the curb weight is, say, 2.2 of the BT50. Then you throw 100 kilo driver in, you're up to 5.8, and that's before you've put a bull bar or a winch or anything on your vehicle. How are you supposed to stay under 6 ton if you're towing a 3.5 ton vehicle? Absolute bullshit. If you've got and Brad and Mary Howell, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Brad, are getting a Zone RV, which can go to, I think, a maximum of 3.5 ton. Brad's just said, I'm going to Dodge Ram. They can tow 4.5 ton. So Brad's just gone straight out and said, I'm not going to even stuff around with trying to tow a big Zone RV with a friggin' BT50. Brad had a BT50. He said, I'm not even going to go there. He said, I'm just going to sell it. And he's buying a Dodge Ram, a 1500, which has got a 4.5 ton towing capacity. The Rams don't have a lot of payload. But Brad said, I'm not putting a lot of shit on the Ram. I'm just using it as a tow motor. And he'll get away with that when he wants to tow the big 3.5 ton Caravan. But I'll tell you what, you want to, as Jared said, you want to tow a 3.5 ton Caravan with a dual cab, you're pushing shit uphill with a stick. It can't be done. It can't be done unless you've got absolutely nothing in your BT50 or Ford Ranger because you're just going to go over your gross combination mass. I hope I'm making sense, guys. This one's a big one. If you tow a Caravan, everyone, and you don't know what this means, hand your license back in. You shouldn't be towing a Caravan. This one, gross vehicle mass for your vehicle and gross combination mass. This one is very, very important if you tow. Steve, who are we up to, or Snork?
Steve's done this one.
Steve, go on.
Oh, the gross combination mass is just basically the weight of your tow vehicle and the weight of your Caravan combined together to give you a total amount of both vehicles. So you need to know the weight of both of them.
Yep.
And make sure you don't go over your GCM. Every
Gross
vehicle has a gross mass. I was trying to find mine there. I did write it down somewhere there. Mine's 4611 on the FJ Cruiser. So
Yeah,
I can only, and the FJ on its own, the curve weight was 2010. And by the time I put everything in it and all that sort of thing, I think I'm up to about 2510. So it doesn't leave me a lot of room for what I can tow.
Sorry, mate. So when you've got you and Annie and Winnie and camping gear in the FJ, you're at about 2.5.
Yep.
And what's your GCM? Awesome.
4611.
All right. So you're looking at when you get a Caravan, you don't want it anything over 2.
No.
Or you're going to be over your GCM, mate.
And that was one of the reasons we've been looking around at a few Caravans, and we think we've found one that sort of suits our purposes. I won't tell you what it is yet. I'll let everyone know because it's probably going to be a year or so out yet. But the one we're looking at, its tear weight is 1414. So that's only 1400.
Yeah.
1414 kilos.
Okay, so you've got about 600 kilo to play with there, Steve, before you start getting into danger zone. You've got to fill your water tanks up, gas bottles, piss in the fridge, food. So you're still going to have to be strict on your weight, mate.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I think we'll be fine. I don't think we'll put that sort of weight in it. We've been sort of looking at our figures. I think we're right on the FJ now. I've done a lot of weight saving over the last 6 months or so because I did realise I was over. I have got a GVM upgrade on the FJ now. I've got it up to. Did originally come out at 2510. I've now got it up to 2761. So it just gives me a little bit more room, but it doesn't improve my GCM though, regardless of my.
You can get you can get a GVM upgrade, guys, by getting a suspension upgrade. Get an engineer to look at it. But if it's post registration, you won't get a GCM upgrade. You can't do a GCM upgrade. And I think Jared said earlier in the night, GCM upgrade should be illegal anyway. But pre-rego, you can get it done. Post-rego here in Queensland, I got the GVM of the BT50 upgraded, but the GCM still stayed at 6,000. And guess what? When I put that on the scales, when I left home on our trip, and I was bombed up to the max. That's the heaviest I was ever going to be. With Ros, me, and Rafa in the thing, we had 50 kilo left. But we only got lighter from there on because we worked our water down, our gas went down, our food, our beer. That was the maximum we were. So I had a little 15-foot Caravan with the BT50 with a GVM upgrade, and I was still very close to my GCM guide. So be very, very careful. GVM of your vehicle and gross combination mass. You must know what they mean. Here we go. Tear away. We're going on to the Caravan now, Snort.
Yeah, I think
we did that one.
I think you've done that one, yeah.
We've done that one.
Aggregate trailer mass is the next one.
Oh, have we? I might have gone backwards. So my tear weight on the Sirocco, 2250. The tear weight without water or gas was 2250. That's with the aircon and the bed and the fridge and everything in there. 2250. Okay, but it was out there.
Here we go. So this one
ATM, here we go. What does ATM mean? Now, there's a difference between ATM and GTM, ATM, Rob?
So aggregate trailer mass. So it's the maximum weight of the caravan when it's not connected to your vehicle, essentially. So it's your tear weight and includes all your payloads, everything that's in your caravan, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's the maximum you can pretty much go up to.
The maximum weight of your caravan unhooked to the vehicle.
Unhooked. Yep,
unhooked, and the Sirocco was 2850. So 2250.
So
2250 to 2850. I got a payload of 600. I could put in the caravan.
So with the caravan I've got the Austrac Caravan, and its ATM's 2850. Its tear weight is 2140. So it's interesting, hey, because I think we should talk a little bit more about this later on, because if you take into consideration the weight of the vehicle and all that as well, that eats into that sometimes. So you might have an ATM, for example, of 2850, but you might not have all that usable.
Well, so you've got a 13-foot changer, and I've got a 15-foot changer, and there's only 110 kilo difference in the tear weight. They're a heavy little bugger, those little 13-foot Austrac. I thought the Sirocco was heavy, mate.
No, I thought the same thing. I thought, geez, she's got a bit of weight in it. Well, what it can go up to anyway.
Yeah. So there you go. ATM is the maximum weight your caravan's allowed to be, and the Jawa Sirocco 2850. But here's another thing to think about: the GVM of the BT before I had the upgrade, 3200, 3200, and if I max that caravan out to 2850, I'm over my GCM, aren't I?
Well,
I'm over some thousands. So there you go. Go figure. It's
I was just reading Freddie Boots. He's out caravanning at the moment. And
Freddie?
He's BT50 upgrade a year ago. Levels took the GVM to 3.6 and the GCM to 6.9, but cost him $7,600.
Was that, Freddie, I can't see the comments at the moment because I've got the big thing. Was that pre-rego or post-rego, Freddie?
That'd be post. Oh.
Danny Bosey, real name. Danny, was that pre or post-rego, mate? And then we've got to talk about. So your GTM, guys, gross trailer mass, that's similar to the ATM, but that's when your caravan is hooked up, okay? That's when your caravan is hooked up to the vehicle. Maximum loaded caravan weight when hitched up. So basically it's the weight over the axles of your caravan. The big thing, there's a set of scales down near Rolling Stone, and there's four pads. You drive your vehicle up on there, onto the 4 pads, and it gives you the weight of the BT50, okay? That's with the caravan hooked on. So it'll give you your GVM, which includes tow ball weight. Then you drive forward, and then you put your 2 caravan wheels on, gives you your GTM. So your GVM and your GTM will give you what your gross combination mass is. And as I said, I went over those scales. It's just and there should be more of them around Australia, fellas. There wasn't. You drive off the side of the highway. It's where the scalies pull the truckie. You drive on and you look up and you go, the BT50's 2.4. And then you drive forward and you go, my caravan's 2.3. So you go, I'm 5.7 or whatever, if that makes sense. So you can quickly, within a minute of just pulling off the highway, you can do a quick check on your GCM, your GVM, your GTM, how much your caravan weighs hooked up, and both of those weights together give you your gross combination mass. There isn't enough places in Australia where you can test the weight of your vehicle and your caravan. I can do it at my local rubbish tip. They don't like you to do that. That's not what it's there for. But they always go, go to public weigh scales. Well, there's not a lot around. Do you know where the local ones are around you, Rob or Steve? You got one around you?
Yeah, we've got about 3 or 4 around town.
Have you really?
Yeah.
On the Bruce Highway, there's one just north of Townsville. Jared will know the one I'm talking about. And then I didn't see another one on my whole trip of Australia. It was bullshit. You should be able to go weigh scale ahead, and you pull off the highway, you pull up and go, my vehicle weighs this, my caravan weighs this, yep, add it together, yep, my GCM, I'm under. And there was one place in 5 months I saw that.
So, Buck,
Freddie said he got that done after too.
So I just shared a screen with you, Buck. It's a product that I use. and it allows me to weigh the weight of my caravan, and also allows me to measure the weight of the vehicle. Now, there's obviously a little error in it. It's a product made by Reich. They're called the Reich Caravan Weight Controls, and 1,500 kilograms essentially is the weight of like each. I think it's each type. Remember, right? They make them in 1,000 kilogram version, which is a little bit cheaper, and these 1,500 kilogram ones, and it actually goes through and it provides the weight of your vehicle on one side, on the other side, and also measures the weight of your caravan, which is really useful. So, like, if you wanted to get some ballpark figure of where you are, this is an answer for some people. But look, they're not cheap, but it's another way that people could look into it as well. You need to, and one thing you need to do when you're doing this is you need to make sure you got on a level surface. Don't do it on a hill; you'll get the wrong information. Make sure you're doing it somewhere level.
Rob, your channel's got a video on these, hasn't it? From memory.
Yeah, it's got an old video there actually, Buck. I did that ages and ages ago. There's the other one which I think you mentioned here before. I've just got that up there on the screen there for you there now, Buck. You can share that one. That's just the towable weight scale. So that's useful, obviously, for your caravans to see how much your towable weight is for. If you just want to find out what that is, that might be useful for some people also.
You can use that other device you just shown too, Rob. I've got one of those as well in the lesser weight. All you do, it's got a function on it. All you do is put it underneath your tow ball and lower it down onto it.
Yep, exactly right. You can. Yeah, I just thought Buck asked you to show this one before, and it's just if you just want to find out what the towable weight is, that's another solution for you also.
Brad Howell said, "Is that the third Reich? Third Reich? Third Reich or something like that?" Yeah. So I'll tell you what, I used one of those tow ball weight things that you can get from Super Cheap or Repco or whatever. I think my neighbour lent one to me, and when the Sirocco was fully bombed up just before we took off on our trip, I was horrified at my tow ball weight. It was over 300 kilo. They are heavy, front heavy little bloody nuggets, those things, because the Sirocco, it towed well, but we got the bed up the front, the fridge up the front, the gas bottles up the front. What else? All that type of stuff. It's just the tow ball weight was bullshit. But anyway,
I won't tell you the one we're looking at. It's 128 kilos.
Yeah. Now be careful there, Steve, because I'll tell you it's 128 kilo. When you bomb that bloody caravan up with gas and water, I bet it's more. So don't believe everything they tell you, mate. It'll be more, mate. The Sirocco, they say the tow ball weight's this. When you're bombing up and put shit in there, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. And my tow ball weight was over 300 kilo. And that's after I pulled the bloody generator slide out and tried to save a bit of thing. You need to unhitch. I was unhitched, Jared. I was unhitched when I did my tow ball weight, mate. I was unhitched and I put that thing under there and wound the jockey wheel down, and it just kept going and going and going and going. And as I said, we got into the habit there where we just didn't travel with full water tanks. We just let them run down, and we ran them between a quarter and a half. If we're going to go a bit, not go to a caravan park, we'd run them down. But a lot of people, and I spoke to them, if you're going to go to caravan parks, people just ran with their water tanks empty in their caravan and just plugged into water when they got the caravan park. I didn't know if I was going to go to a van park or go to free camping, so I always kept between a quarter and a half in my water tanks. So there's a lot to think about, isn't there? There really is. Hey, I want to go and have a look at this poll, fellas, while it's there, because I want to do another one.
Yeah, I was looking at it a second ago.
Should we have to do a towing course for braked vehicles? Well, here you go. I'm going to end the poll here, guys. You've had long enough to answer on that one. And I didn't think it'd be that high, to tell you the truth. 87% said yes, we should have to do a course, and 11% said no. Well, there you go. And as I said, it's good to judge the room on what people think. Me and Rob, Steve, you haven't really said much. Do you think it's a good idea or not?
Yeah. I said to you there before. I said, I think it would be a terrific idea. I mean, I know there's a lot of things involved in how much it's going to cost, how it's going to be legislated between states and all that sort of thing. But I think if any sort of information we can get will be a benefit to everyone. And like you said, if it saves one life, well, I think it'll definitely be worth it.
I think, yeah. Steve from Bev Cam 123. Steve, we got a small van, tow ball weight 100 kilo on the plate. I got a mobile guy to weigh it. Tow ball weight, real tow ball weight 133. Exactly. As soon as you start adding some shit in it, Steve. So just be careful, mate.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. Like it'll go up. Like
yeah.
I remember there about. I have got a video on it, but I did a tow ball weight on the dot trailer there once, and I think it was at like 230 kilos, and I ended up getting it down to about 150 just by moving stuff around.
All right, I'll ask that, Jared. Jared said, how many tow? I know Jared voted against that, so I'm going to start another poll.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm going to do, and this will be a real quick couple of minute one, guys. And I want you to be honest. No one knows. All we see is yes or no. We don't know how you vote here.
I think Jared was asking of that 89%, how many of those people, the people that voted yes for training, how many of those people actually tow? What he was wondering about. So
this one here, yes, new poll, guys. Do you tow? So if you're in the comment section at the moment, be honest. Do you tow? Yes or no? Okay, and we'll come back to that in a few minutes, Jared. And we'll just what Jared's trying to say here is people are saying, yeah, you should have to tow, but there's probably here people in here that don't have a caravan or don't have a camper trailer or whatever. So be honest, please. No one knows. So please be honest on the thing. And then we're going to do another poll after that. And leads me on to the next one, guys. And it's, all right, if we got to do a towing course, great. How that comes about, I don't know. That's above us. I'd love to see it happen. Department of Transports have got to bloody start nutting something out and then work out who is able to run those courses and how much it's going to be, which leads on to people who'll get the shits for having to pay extra money. I get that, Jared.
Yep.
Leads us on to the next one. When we have to go and get a boat license, I've got to go and get tested on it. If I want to get a forklift license, I'll get tested. I've got to do a written test and a physical test, a practical test, we used to call it in the Army. Should we have to do, if we want to tow a caravan, should we have to go to the Department of Transport and sit a written test and a practical test to tow a caravan? And that'll be the next thing. Snorp, over to you, mate. What are your thoughts on that?
I personally think that they should. I know people out there got lots of different views, but these are just my views. And I look at it and I think about people's safety, and I think that, like we go to school to get an education. Well, it's the same thing. I mean, you're being educated on how to tow a trailer and the limits of your trailer. There's lots of things that people don't understand. You go and you tow something and you just don't realise, for example, if you put all the weight on the back of your trailer, you're going to end up with sway. There's just simple little things like that people just don't realise. And I personally think it's a really good thing. I'd be all for, for the Department of Transport to do something like that. And if they didn't want to, I understand maybe, there would be a lot of people that would need to do this course. Maybe they do it through some of the four-wheel drive training facilities. Some four-wheel drive clubs might want to do that. Or maybe they want to do it through an authorised training facility perhaps as well. So where I did my forklift license, for example, they do truck licenses out there as well. You get all those different types of licenses. So that would be a great place for them to do it as well. This is not something that they'll be able to set up overnight. It's something that have to be talked through. They have to work out the plan. They have to get the facilities set up for it. So, look, I understand this would take a while, but I do think in the long run...
2 or 3 years, Rob.
Yeah, exactly right, mate.
I'd love to see the Queensland Department of Transport or Victoria or whatever say all the four-wheel drive clubs out there and whatever else, we now have a towing training package.
Certified training package.
We'll send it to you so you can train people up, because it's got to be better than no training, hasn't it? Some training's got to be better than no training at all. We've seen the results of people going out that don't know how to rectify things in a situation. The old people's, their bloody reflexes aren't what they used to be and all that type of stuff. But there's a lot of people. Caravan parks. Not once did I need anyone to reverse my caravan for me in 5 months. But I got into some caravan parks, and some caravan parks have actually got a little tow motor so they can reverse the caravans for these people. I nearly said another word then. I can't say that. I'll get in trouble. For these people who don't know how to reverse their caravans. They go, and you see the little tow motor come down, old mate unhitches, they hook the little tow motor up, and they put the van into the spot for them, because there's a lot of people out there cannot reverse their caravan. And it's not an easy, it takes practice. It takes bloody practice to reverse. It's not an easy art to master.
Yeah, well, I reckon it'd be a great idea if they brought it in. Like, I know Rob would probably say, I'll talk to him a few times, when he got into four-wheel driving. I said he just didn't go out in the bush and start four-wheel drive, and he joined a club and he learned off other people and did a heap of courses, and it probably made his four-wheel driving experience a lot better because he was given the information.
Yeah.
It was stuff I had no idea on, and I tell you what, made me a much better four-wheel driver.
Yeah.
You approach things differently when you've done a course on it. Buck, you could bring up Landy Smurf comment there, because I actually think it's worthwhile having a chat about as well. Just saying, yeah.
Which one? This one here?
That's the one. They bought in. It says if they bought it in, lots of people would have been successfully towing for years. We're pissed that they now have to complete a course. And look, Landy, I think that's a valid point as well. Hey, I mean, yes, that is true. And maybe, people have been towing for a certain amount of time, or maybe there might be some exception to that rule, perhaps. This is something that they need to work out. We're not here to say what they should and shouldn't do. But I do think, like you do raise a good point there, mate. And yeah, I mean, if people have been towing for a long time, well, yeah, there might be some exception to the rule. I don't know. That's something they'll have to work out themselves. Like maybe they wouldn't have to go through all the training, they could just answer the questions and then just do a quick test to make sure they're right, and that might be it, I don't know.
But do you think it's a bad idea that you go, I want to tow a caravan, and even if you've been towing for 10 years, go to the Department of Transport, sit a written test with 20 questions in there, and go, what is a GVM?
Yeah.
What's GCM? If you don't know the answers to those questions, you shouldn't be towing a bloody 21-foot, 3-ton caravan. If you don't know your GCM, how do you know how to check your weights and all that type of stuff? So, I don't know. I'd love to see the Department of Transport's come up with a training package and distribute that out to people. I'd love to see that. Whether people have to get a certificate, four-wheel drive clubs may run them for free, but you get a certificate to say you've completed the nationally accredited training course to tow a vehicle. Four-wheel drive, your four-wheel drive Mitsubishi club may run it for nothing, Rob. They love to do that.
We don't allow people to actually go on the four-wheel drive trips until they've done a four-wheel drive course. So the only trips that they can do are just normal driving courses, maybe on dirt road and that type of stuff. But as soon as it's off-road stuff, they have to have done they sit down, we do a theory. We sit down, we go through everything with them, then we go out and we do a 2-day practical, which is great. I learned a lot of stuff doing that. It really built my confidence up, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what four-wheel drive clubs are for, mate. Mick Dacey said, Buck, we need to get people towing with some decent mirrors on their vehicles. It's compulsory in Queensland, guys, to have towing mirrors. That is, I don't know what it's like in other states. You have to have towing mirrors on your vehicle. So now, listen, I'm going to be totally honest with you. Roz is laughing out there. I didn't use towing mirrors when I did my thing. I should have been. I know that. I ran the gauntlet. I've got towing mirrors for the BT50, but the Sirocco is a bee's dick wider than the BT50, and I could see down the side. But by law in Queensland, I should have had my towing mirrors on, okay? And I didn't. And unload on me for that, I should have bloody had them on there. If you've got one of the big caravans that's a lot wider than your tow vehicle, you're mad not to do it, guys. You're mad not to do it. And I think there was one of those videos we saw that someone come across in front of a truck. He had no bloody towing mirrors on. So he probably couldn't see He couldn't see down the side that there was a dirty big Kenworth overtaking him, and he's come across, and luckily no one was killed, and it's bloody thing. So I didn't use towing mirrors on that, but Jared, you've got a Sirocco. Do you use towing mirrors, mate? I ran the gauntlet. I didn't get pulled up in 5 states for it. If I did, and a copper was on the ball, he probably could have given me a ticket. So I just, But if the van, the Sirocco is roughly the same width as the BT. If it's any wider, it's only just. But if you've got a big Kedron, guys, and you can't see down the side, get the bloody towing mirrors on there, okay? Probably, I know they're not cheap, the ones that extend out and then you can put them in and whatever. But
I love the rear view camera. You can see behind your trailer. That's the best thing ever.
Yeah,
makes it so much easier. Like especially when you're overtaking, to know whether you're actually past the vehicle, because even those towing mirrors, like you can see on the side, but sometimes it's very difficult to judge how far apart you are between the vehicle you've just gone past.
Yeah.
And those cameras are fantastic for that sort of stuff.
Gary Pye's just put a comment up there too, but
well, okay, we'll do Gary's. Phil, I know people are going on about where's the money going to go. Well, maybe the money from the courses should go back into training. Like it should go directly back into that sphere, mate. I know it shouldn't go and do different stuff, but the money from our courses maybe should go back straight into road safety. I know where you're going with that. Who will benefit from it? But
you've also got
I know who will benefit from doing a towing course. The person towing and everyone else out on the road will benefit because it's going to make the place safer. It really will. Look at you, bloody. You want to get a pistol firearms license here in Australia, you got to go and do a pistol safety course because they're friggin' dangerous weapons. They're short-barreled weapons, and it only takes you to bloody clear a stoppage and go like that.
Yeah.
And then your barrel's pointing towards old mate who's standing beside you on the range. So you've got to go and do a safety course if you want to fire a handgun here in Australia. Okay? It's not about the money, Phil. It's about keeping people safe, mate. That's my thing. I know you probably disagree with me, but I agree with you, Phil, where all the money go, it should go back into bloody road safety and training. Do you agree, fellas?
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at another comment there.
I agree with you.
I know it shouldn't go into bloody consolidated revenue and get snapped.
So like, if we're talking about the money here, I think like you've obviously got to pay the people that are actually running the training courses, and that's fair. Fair enough. I mean, people don't just go out there and just do it for free either. What happens with the excess money? Well, I don't know. I mean, they're running a business as well. I mean, what do you want to say? That they're not entitled to earn anything? Are they making money out of it? Out of something? I don't know. I think that it's all right to earn an income. There's nothing wrong with people earning an income, is there? And are they making money out of it because of you doing training? What's the benefit?
People might gain employment out of this.
Exactly right.
I don't know.
I don't see an issue with it myself, but
this has to be solved over 3 years, Phil. This is not going to happen overnight, mate. It's the Gary's got one here. Buck, measure overall length of your mirrors. If it's greater than the van, no mirrors needed. I know when I went to pick up the Jawa Sirocco, Jawa were very good, and they let people know. And one of them, Jared will agree with me here. One of the things was towing mirrors are compulsory in Queensland. So when you turn up to get your Jawa Sirocco, make sure you got towing mirrors on your tow vehicle. And I did. I went down there with them. Didn't use them, but I had them. So Gary might be on there. I don't know. Maybe if the cops pulled you over at the Department of Transport and your mirrors do extend out past the Caravan, maybe they wouldn't defect you. I don't know. Speaking of defects, we're going to go on to another important one here. So let's go on. I'm going to go to that poll, fellas. Give me 2 seconds.
76 votes on it.
I'm going to end poll. And this one was, do you tow? In relation to Jared's question. Do you tow in the comment section? 82% of the people in the comment section at the moment do tow, and 17% no. So that's a majority there, Jared. So most people saying that we should have to do a towing course, they do tow, mate. and they think it's a good idea. Now, the next one is we're going to talk about, and I asked the question before, should we have to go to the Department of Transport, pass a written test and also a physical test and get a license to say that we can tow a caravan? And that's going to be my next poll, fellas. And I'll put it up now. Start a poll. Should we have to pass I'll just put a towing test.
While you're doing that, Buck, I just thought I'd mention something. Hey, I've been watching a video there by some YouTubers. They're called, was it Svedos Tripping, I think they're called. And they recently were out there traveling, and they did a video talking about their caravan weights and their vehicle weight and how they were over and how hard it was for them to actually be there on YouTube and talk about it, about being overweight and all that sort of stuff. And they've done a follow-up video chasing up those weights as well. So if you want to go and find something that's interesting and somebody, who's out there and doing it and has admitted like they've been overweight, it's a very interesting video series. I thought there's 2 videos on it. It's Svedos Tripping. I'll put it on the YouTube, on the comments here, so you guys can go and have a look at it.
Yeah, put the thing up there, Rob, so we can see it. Righto, guys, I've just put another quick poll up, and this one is, should we, to tow a caravan, have to go to the Department of Transport, whatever it's called in your state, Department of Transport, do a written test? Like if you're going for your learner's license, you do a written test, and if you pass that, you go out and do your practical test with a driving instructor. Should we have to do that to get our caravan license, or get an extra code on our license to say that we are qualified or we are able to tow a caravan? Yes or no? So this isn't should we have to do a course. We all said that it'd be a good idea to do a course. Should we have to bloody pass a test, written and practical, and get it on our license, a little extra code on our license to say that we can tow a braked vehicle over 750 kilos? So get stuck into that poll. Fellas, any comments on that? Anything else we want to add to that one? Did you see that poll come up?
Yeah.
Okay, get stuck into that, everyone. This one is, should we have to have you get your license? I'll pull mine out here.
Ty Fendrick just said he thinks that the training should be done by a private company.
Yeah.
And you should just have to go to the transport and put it on your and get them to put it on your license.
I think that's a great idea, Ty. I do. I think that's a brilliant way of doing it.
Do the course through a private company or the driving test?
Oh, both parts.
Well, the test for the caravan.
Comment. I can't see Ty's. I don't think I've got Ty's actual comment. I'm not sure how long ago it was. Sorry, I just saw it then. I think the training and the test should be done with a private company. Then just go to the transport and have it put on your license. Well, that's maybe, yes. Maybe the Department of Transport, their driving instructors, they don't have the people to do that. That is an option, mate, where you go and you turn up to the Department of Transport with a certificate and they add it onto your license. So my license here says that Diddly Donk here's got a light rigid license and a motorcycle, an R class, which is motorcycle in Queensland. And on the back, I've also got recreational marine driver's license, which means I can drive a boat. And I had to do I had to do a course, a written test, and a practical test to get that R.
Aren't they done by private companies, Buck? Boat licenses?
I can't remember who did mine. It was down at the Air Sea Rescue place or the.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure private people do boat licenses.
I think it was, Steve. Yeah. So. And then I got the certificate from them. And, I went to the Department of Transport and they added the RDML, recreational, is that what it is? RDML? RMDL, recreational marine driver's license. So I went there with my thing saying I've done the course for my boat and I passed the written test and the practical test, and they put the code on my license. So that's exactly what Ty's saying. We go to a private company, we do a written test, we do a practical test, and if we're up to speed, we go to the Department of Transport and they put another code on your license saying CAR for caravan or TOW for tow, which means you can tow. Don't know. That's what we're voting on now, guys, on the latest poll there. Let us know what you reckon.
Do you think, Buck, if say you had to go get a set of private tests to get a caravan license or something, and say the insurance company said, okay, guys, if you've done a private test and passed all the safety regulations, we're going to knock 25% off your insurance. Do you think people would do it then?
Oh, yeah.
I'm bloody sure they would. And that might be, that's a very good point, Steve. That's a very good point. Insurance companies may, if you've done a towing course, let's face it, how many caravans are rolling over and insurance companies are paying out big money because people don't know how to tow properly. So, yeah. Lorna, these testers are going to cop off people that's been towing for years. Yeah, I know. But if you've been towing for years, you should be able to go in, do the test, and piss it in. You should be able to think. But, Lorna, the amount of people that I saw on my 5-month trip on the road that were doing the wrong thing and were grossly overweight was bullshit. And that's going to be another poll coming up in a minute, guys, because I'm going to have a rant. I told you I was going to have a rant tonight. I'm going to put my coppers hat on. And I
got something just to answer that one, like too.
Steve, can I go entertain the crowd? I need a tinkle, mate. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, with Lorna saying there about people getting the shits if they've got to go do the test if they've been towing for years. But how many people could say, like, I remember doing my car driver's license when I was back like 17, back in 1980 something or other, and we used to have to do our test at the local police station. I think they do a course now, and you've got to actually go sit an exam, and then you've got to have so many hours booked up, and you've got to have logbooks and all sorts of things now. But when I did my test, it was basically go down to the motor registry, fill out a few questions, then you go up to the local cop shop, and then you jump in the police car, or in your car, or the policeman would sit beside you, and you just drive around the block and do a bit of parking, and then go back, and he'd say, "There you go, you passed." And that's how it was.
Story to that, didn't he?
Yeah, but how many people would actually know all the road rules now that done their tests 20 years ago?
It's interesting. Yeah. It's probably a good question too, Steve. Should we?
No, I mean, do you know all the new road rules? Like, just say you sat your driver's license 20 years ago.
Failed, Steve. Well, I think we all would. Yeah, all us oldies, we probably failed.
Yeah. Well, it's actually interesting because Trev Kelly said, "Do you think a lot of these older people will want to do this that have been driving for years, like grey nomads?"
Yeah.
And probably the question is, should they? They probably should.
Once
again,
I don't know. That's probably for another discussion. Like, I know a lot of oldies. I've been towing for 20 years. We'll go and sit your test, mate, and we'll give you your license if you're as good as you say.
You won't have a problem.
Rando just said getting in a lot of cost now. $2,000 for a truck license here. Where are you, Rando? I forget where you are, mate. But
now
where are we? Hey, we'll do this this one. This one's not as high as the last one, guys. End poll. So the polls come up here. Should we have to pass a towing test at Department of Transport, Department of Transport, and get that on our license? 67% said yes. No, 42%. So the no vote there was a bit higher than should we do a course, which was interesting. Okay, but still overwhelming majority there. If that was an election and I was going for the premier and I got 67%, I'd be pretty happy with that one.
Buck for PM.
Yeah. Hey, listen, guys, there's another thing I just want to mention before I go on a rant, because I've got to have a rant before I go tonight, is if you're in Queensland, and I'm sure there's an equivalent place in the rest of Australia. I spoke to a Scaly the other day on the phone, guys, and he put me onto this. There's Rob, if you want to type this, mate, please, and put it in the comments section. caravanningqld.com.au.
Yeah, I know the one.
And you had to look it up before. Guys, if you do have a caravan, caravanningqld.caravanningqueensland.com.au. So caravanningqld.com.au. Snork will put it up there, guys. They're running some education days around Queensland. And if you want to find out what those dates are, you go on to the website that Snork's going to put up. But basically, they're an education day about how to load your caravan, how to hook your caravan up, what to do if your caravan starts going like that. It's a caravan education day, and I think it'd be very, very worthwhile going to around Queensland. There's probably an equivalent around Australia in West Aussie, Tassie. Get onto your local look up a caravanning thing in your state, but caravanningqld.com.au. They're doing an information and education days in Bundaberg, 12th and 13th of August, Townsville, the 1st of September, Cairns, the 3rd and 4th of September, Willow Bank, which is Brisbane, isn't it, fellas? Outside Brisbane. Probably out at the raceway there. Willow Bank,
Raceway, mate.
17th of September, Toowoomba, the 6th and 7th of October, Brisbane Showgrounds, 21st of October, Redcliffe, 10th and 11th of November, and Logan, out where the Gidgee Gorilla is, the 12th of November. So get onto that website. If it's something, and it's probably free, guys. Go out there and this is what it's about. Places like this that are trying to educate people, and education is going to mean less accidents, less likelihood of people being killed on the road and all that type of stuff, okay? So, I think Rob's probably put that up there now. So if you're in Queensland, guys, go to that website and if you're interstate, I'm sure there's just Google it and find out if there's some caravan education days being run in your state. And if there is, if you know of some, put it up in the comment section before we leave tonight, please.
That link, Buck, could you just give that again? Because I'm not working on my end.
So try caravanning qld.com.au. Landy's got a good one here. Do you cross your chains? Keep them straight. I cross my chains. I cross them. And someone told me that you have to cross them. It's the law. I haven't seen that in writing, so don't quote me on that. But I cross my chains. All right.
Yeah, we cross ours.
Yeah, cross ours as well.
One.
Cross and shorten them.
Yeah, always cross them. Can't seem to find that URL there, but
okay.
So caravanningqld.com.au.
I looked it up the other day, Rob, and I actually found it. caravanningqld.com.au. I don't want to stuff around here in case I bloody stuff the thing. Do you cross your chains, guys? If you tow, do you cross your chains? I don't know if it's law or not. I don't know. Steve said shorten your chains as well. I get that. You can't shorten them too much, Steve, because when you go to reverse in,
No, I didn't say that. Someone else wrote that there.
Yeah. We got 88% so far. 89 cross their chains. I remember Luke on one of his clips once, Rob, on his dot trailer. He said, "I don't cross my chains," and he gave a reason for it, and I can't remember what it was now. But I remember Luke saying that he doesn't cross his chains.
I cross them.
I've been taught to do it. I've been taught to cross my chains. And
well,
it's the law. I don't know if it is, but I've been told that.
No, my understanding is if it ever comes off, it'll grab the
chains.
Around. Yeah, that's and it's also if it veers off to the left, it's pulling tighter on one side of the right. That's my understanding of it. But that's why I would do it.
Yeah.
Terry says no.
Why would you shorten your chains? Probably you try and stop the van spearing in. I had a roadworthy done on my van the other day, guys. And if you've got a van, how long's it been since you've checked the battery on your breakaway and actually make sure jack your van up and spin the wheel, pull the breakaway out, make sure your bloody breakaway works. I've never done it. And Kenny Hobbs said to me the other day, Buck, how long since you've tested your breakaway? I said, never. Well, I've never tested it. It's a bit
like checking your nuts, isn't it?
Well, I check my nuts all the time, Steve, but it failed. My Sirocco failed. It failed the breakaway test and the brakes, and it's bloody, the drum's all chewed out. We won't go there. It's not for tonight. But, yeah, so how long since you've checked your breakaway, guys? Kenny Hop said, you check your breakaway all the time? I said, no, mate, I've got to be honest. I bloody don't. And this is where it comes down to, I'm not a professional on towing a caravan. Maybe if I did a caravan towing course, they teach me that on the course. Is it about how to check your breakaway? How to do
Slacken's just come on.
Slacken's on, is he? Slacken from
Slacken just come on.
G'day, Mark. How are you, mate? We're talking about towing caravans and trailers and that, mate. So that's all right. Hope you're well, mate, over there in Canada. Yeah, a lot of the accidents are from people that that can't drive at all. I know a lot of it comes down to inexperience. I know accidents can happen and bloody things can happen to a caravan that are out of the driver's control. But a lot of these accidents are just people not loading right. People are inexperienced. People are impatient. The bloke who tried to take over the truck and pull in, that was just bullshit. That was just shit driving, guys. That was just shit driving. That wasn't because he hasn't done a caravan. That was just he was an impatient prick. And he should have been charged with dangerous driving for that one. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think you were talking there earlier, Buck. Did you have a clip on using CB radios or something? Or
yes, mate. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I'll just do this poll here. End poll. Do you cross your chains? 91% of people cross their chains. No, 8%. That was 99% when I went to school, so I don't know where the other 1%. But majority of people cross their chains out there. Whoever asked that question, I don't know if it's law to do it. I haven't seen it in writing, but I think it's a good practice to get into. Now, listen, what was that one, Steve, you talked about?
CBs.
There's a Facebook page out there, Caravan and Camping. Oh, the shit fights on there. I'll tell you now, I had my UHF on my trip, and the amount of times I communicated with truckies and wide load escorts, and I tell you now, I'm at the stage where I think it should be compulsory if you're towing a caravan to have a friggin' UHF in your four-wheel drive. I know it'll never happen. It'll never be compulsory, but I think it's a very, very, very good idea to do it. And I'll put it.
Yeah, something I've noticed. What some people do is they also have stickers on the back of their caravan that say, contactable on UHF, whatever. So on the back of my Tanami, I've actually got, contactable on UHF, I think it's 17 or something like that, if I remember right. But it's always a good idea to be listening to Channel 40 as well, if that's the Truckie's channel. And between those two.
Yeah, well, I was telling the guys there earlier, I just drove back from Taree today, but we went down earlier in the week and we left here at 2 o'clock in the morning and we'd got about 100 Ks out of Kingaroy and it was still pitch black dark. And we just went through this little town and in the middle of the road, there was a cow standing in the middle of the road. And to the side of it, there was a dead one. And we got about another half a K up the road. And just as we drove off, the cow started walking off the road. But we got about half a K up the road and this semi-trailer was heading straight towards where the cow was. So I got on the CB and said to the truck driver, just watch out when you're going through the next town. There was a cow on the side of the road dead and another one in the middle of the road. And he said, oh, thanks very much, and kept going. So they do have their benefits.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, mate. I think it's a must. I think it's a no-brainer. You have a UHF in there. I had a wide load coming towards me, and guess where we were? If I kept going, guess where we would have crossed paths? On a friggin' bridge. So the pilot escort in front said, hey, car up ahead, mate. We've got a bloody dozer, big mining equipment. We're in central Queensland and around the mines there. He said, we've got a big bit of mining equipment coming over the bridge. I just pulled off. And I'm glad I did because I said to Roz, I'd hate to bloody try and go across the bridge the same time as him, we wouldn't be here. And one of the photos I put up on Facebook, someone put a mention in there and said that was a wide load escort. The vehicle didn't have a UHF in there, and it was a wide load escort. And the Caravan stayed on the road and got the side of his Caravan taken off. Because you've seen some of the wide loads out in central Queensland of that mining equipment going past. And it's wide. It's taken up 1.5, like almost both the lane. You've got to get right off that road. And when they're that wide, you'll have the police escort and a pilot. And when you see the coppers saying, doing one of them at you, you get the friggin' hell off the road, because it means there's some wide shit coming your way. And it's just good to have that UHF, and people can do it. Hey, I'm going to play a clip. This is I love listening to the UHF and listening to the truckies getting up the caravans. And I'm going to swear here, guys. I've tried to keep this G-rated, this one. I'm behind about 30 cars one day, and right up ahead was a Caravan. And I was between Townsville and Innisfail. And I heard a truckie on the UHF go, "Hey, Caravan up ahead. Have a look in your rear view mirror. You got half of fucking Queensland behind you." And the truckie was going off because they're on a schedule. Truckies, as you know, Steve, they got to get stuff in there. Like bloody. Anyway, this Caravan's just driving along with his head up his ass, sitting on about 75, 80, and he did not care. And when he got to a place where he could have pulled over, which is the law in Queensland, if you're holding up traffic, you got to pull over and let people through. He had at least 30 cars and trucks behind him, driving along with his head up his ass. Anyway, I'm going to present this little quick video, guys. This is how it should be done. This is why we have UHFs. If I can find it, this one here. Can you see that, Rob?
Yep, right to go, mate.
Around Lindsay.
See that, Rob?
Mate, you want to have a go around this van in front of you? White one?
Can you see that, Gary?
I'll just do the back a bit. Give you a go.
He's backing off a bit for the truck. Normally you don't back off, but in this case here, it doesn't hurt to back off 10k an hour. Truckie saying thanks. Transport.
No worry, you're going to get somewhere before that.
Well done.
Yeah, a bit early,
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, no.
Well done.
So did we all see that one?
Yeah, you did a great job there, mate.
Yeah. Where's that? Yeah.
Yeah, he did a good job there.
For a tinkle. Yeah, so that's how it should be done. The guy acknowledged he saw.
I'm glad I turned my mic off.
Yeah. Sounded like Niagara Falls. No, but that's the way it should be done, eh? And I had some great conversations with truckies on the way. I know I was on some real bouncy roads on the inland and I couldn't keep up on the speed limit because I got to get my suspension sorted out. I got those airbags put in. Not a good idea. Anyway, that's for another live feed.
We'll have a chat about that.
Hey, truckie, I can't sit on the speed limit, mate. I'm bouncing around too much. I'll bloody let you get around when I can. And the old truckie come on and said, "No worries, mate. Appreciate that." And as soon as I got on a flat, I said, "Here you go, mate." I said, "You should be right now." And he come around, coming around you. And I just backed off a little bit, let him get around. And when he got clear of me, I went, "You're clear now, mate. You're safe to come across." And he put his blinker on, come across, and we had a chat. "What are you carrying, mate? Where are you going?" and all this. And have a good day. That's how truckies and caravanners should communicate, not a bloody Brett Mole. Molly, how are you, mate? I wish you were on tonight, mate. You're the man with the knowledge. This Brett here, guys, he knows his stuff. I won't go into how, but written a code practice buck that have changed. Here we go. It is written in the code of practice buck that chains are to be crossed to support the drawbar to prevent it from dropping to the ground in the event of a coupling failure or disconnection. So there you go. I'm going to let you out of the Brett's a cop, guys. And when I knew Brett, he was a traffic cop and probably still is. And there you go. That's from a traffic cop, guys. You in Queensland, your chains have got to be crossed. Thanks, Brett, and thanks for coming on, mate. We'll have to catch up with coffee. I haven't seen you for ages. So really good to see you in the chat room, mate. And I'll tell you what, I wish you were on the screen here, mate, because you probably know more about this.
Really good.
And Molly, stay tuned, mate. I'm going to have a rant in a minute. I'm going to get up yours. I'm going to have a rant because some of the shit I saw on my trip I wasn't pleased with, and I'm bloody going to put my old copper's hat on. I'm going to have a rant, guys. Stay tuned for that one, eh? Here we go. I'm going to end this poll. I can't even remember what it was now. Do you run a UHF in your tow vehicle? 90% do, 10% don't. Okay, end poll. That's good. So I honestly think, Steve, you got a UHF, and Rob, you both got UHFs in your vehicles, eh?
Definitely, right?
Steve, you just so. Yeah.
So that's one thing in the four-wheel drive club that you end up learning. You always have to have a UHF. That's part of the club rules. Every car has to have a UHF radio, whether it be a handheld or one that's fixed in the vehicle. One's fixed in the vehicle tend to work a bit better. But you have to have a UHF, and they're really handy.
They're great entertainment, especially when you're driving through Gympie too.
Yeah, you got to watch it sometimes around with the kids. Definitely.
Oh, Channel 40 is not for kids. I'll tell you now. I'm going to have a rant, guys. I'm going to have a rant. I'll put the poll up first.
Rant time.
DOT, Department of Transport, guys.
There was a drifter off-road trailer there for a moment.
Could the cops and the Department of Transport start cracking down on caravans? Let me know. Hang on.
Well, I think they already are.
Oh, fucking hell.
I'm gonna have a rant. My head used to fit into this hat when I was a cop. Have a look. It looks like a bloody.
You've got a big head, mate.
Pumpkin on a pimple now. Look at that. That's ridiculous. My head's growing. I've got a big head now. My head's got fat since I've come up. It used to fit me perfectly. Look at it. Ridiculous. Anyway, and it's full of cobwebs. I haven't had off the thing. I'm going to have a rant, guys. I'm putting my old copper's hat on. When I was on my trip around Australia, the amount of caravans I saw that were grossly overloaded was pissing me off. And I'll tell you another thing that pissed me off is the fact that I spent $700 on a friggin' marine barbecue because Webbers were illegal, and every third caravan was running a Weber off their van. I won't go into that. That's for another conversation. But the amount of people I saw coming in with dual cabs, with massive caravans, dinghies on the bloody tinnies on the top, friggin' loaded up to the hilt. And I just sitting there, here you go, mate. How's your weight? What's your GCM on that thing? And they go, oh, what? They didn't even know what a GCM was. So, listen, I know for years now that the police, and Molly, I was talking to Scotty Hayes the other day, and there's a thing here the other day. I don't know if I told Snorky this. The Queensland Police last year did a caravan education thing out on the, I'll tell you the highway in a minute, the Landsborough Highway, about July last year, and they were putting caravans. They must have done a thing with the scalies. They were putting caravans over the scales. 9 out of 10 caravans were overweight. Now, I thought it might have been 5 out of 10. 9 out of 10 guys were overweight. And the Queensland Police, I Googled this, and it was an educational thing. So the cops didn't hand out defect notices and tickets and all that type of stuff. It was an education thing. Now, I know the cops and the scalies have been doing education things for caravanners for friggin' years now. The time has come where they've got to start, Molly, if you're watching, time to start throwing the canaries around. And a canary was the old yellow sticker that went on your windscreen and said that you've got a major defect and you ain't driving anywhere until you sort it out. And then start throwing some bloody $600 fines around. Why do the scalies spend their whole life picking on the truckies. They just hammer the truckies on their weights, their lengths, and all this type of shit. And the caravanners, the amount of caravans now that are bloody on the road that are overweight. There's drivers out there that don't know that their bloody vehicle's overweight, or they know that their vehicle's overweight and their caravan's overweight, and they bury their head in the sand. Okay? Time has come, and I'm going to put a poll up in a minute. I've just put it up. Time has come where enough bloody educational shit. Molly, start bloody doing some stuff out there on the highway, mate. Pulling caravans over, put them over the scales, and if they're overweight, give them a defect note. If they're only slightly overweight, give them a defect notice. You can give a defect notice out without giving without giving a ticket. Okay, but if you give a ticket for a defect, you have to give a defect notice. But if these people are a ton overweight, start slapping a canary on their windscreen, put them off the road, and bloody start. The word will get around quick when people start getting $600 or $1,000 fines for being grossly overweight and putting people's lives in danger. I think the time's come. Right, I've had me rant, guys. Over to you, Snort.
That wasn't a rant.
I don't know how I finished that one, mate. Holy cow.
I'm sick of them. I did the right thing. And the reason I'm sick of it is I knew that my BT50 was going to be overweight with the tow ball weight. I spent a lot of money with a suspension upgrade. I spent $880 to get it engineered and getting the blue plate on it. I did a lot of weighing it. I got my van and vehicle weighed by Mr. Waywright, okay? And admittedly, he did it for nothing for me. It was a YouTube clip that I did, and he did it for nothing. Normally, it would have cost me a couple $100. I got my van and that weighed. I got out. I went to the rubbish dump twice and checked my weights. I checked my weights on the highway when Roz and I were an hour and a half down the highway. I checked my weights again, and I was just under GCM. And if I wasn't, I would have emptied water out of my van because I was totally chock-a-block with water. People are just driving along with their heads up their ass, fellas, and they don't give a shit. And it's probably these idiots that you see doing the big fishtailing and that they're grossly misloaded their caravans or they're grossly overloaded, and that's why their caravans are fishtailing for no friggin' reason whatsoever on the highway. Over to you, Snort.
No, I agree with you, mate. I think it's a good thing for people to go and get some training on it and have a chat about. I think like what we're doing here tonight, I think is fantastic. You know, for us all be sitting here talking about it and having it out in the open. And you know, when I was watching those guys, so it was at Svedolf's stripping. And he was doing a video there talking about, you know, how his vehicle was overweight in his trailer. And like he was towing a boat up on top of his vehicle, and he had the caravan on the back. And mate, that would have been a really hard video to fess up to, but he did it, and good on him. And you know, to sit there and talk about what he's actually done to fix it up, which was good as well. But one thing that really surprised me is when I was watching the video today where he was talking about where he's actually fixed it up, he opens up the back of his ute and there's nothing in it. And I can relate to that because when I took all the stuff off my car, I had to pretty much empty out my car, get it down underweight. So, yeah, it's really surprising. You don't realise it. You just load your car up as you would normally and you don't really think about it. That's the one thing I probably say, although I might differ on you. I think a lot of people don't necessarily realise that they're overweight. Some people, you know, I think if you're sticking a boat and all that type of stuff on there, you probably should be thinking, I'm probably overweight. But I think, you know, the average Joe that heads out there probably just doesn't realise it, you know, and there probably needs to be some education going out there on how people can find out what their maximum weight of their vehicle is and how they find out what the actual weight of their vehicle is. You know, like you can obviously, you know, you've got the weights that your vehicle's rated at, but then you've actually got the vehicle weight your vehicle actually is. And, you know, people need a way to be able to find out what that is. And I don't know. I mean, maybe we haven't really got anything in Australia that really is aimed at that. You know, sure, you can take it down to your dump, your tip, you know, and get it weighed down there. But it would be good to have something that was available. You know, that little Reichert scale that we showed you before, that's a good little product to use as well. So yeah, I don't know. I personally, I'm all for it. I think that we should have some training as well. I think that'd be a great thing. And But there's a lot of. I think there'll be a bit of work between now and there. But I think we should be getting the ball rolling, and the politicians should be talking about this and seeing if they can get something underway. It'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely, they should be, mate. And I think the time of there's always room for education, and that's what we're trying to do tonight, Rob. We're trying to create a discussion.
Well, I think that's what's good about tonight Like, at least we've opened up the conversation. You got people talking. You got people, whether you're against or for it or whatever. It was like today when we were driving home. I think I said to you earlier, we come down through the Toowoomba Ipswich motorway there, and we heard all the truckies on the CBs getting on there saying, "Oh, the scalies are out. The scalies are out." They were pulling over every single truck that went up that freeway. And what they actually did, they put up the signs, the LED display signs that say, road closed or traffic thing. They actually put up signs up there saying this road is closed to trucks for 48 hours. So they were stopping the trucks going up those roads, forcing them to go down past the scalies to get weighed.
Yeah.
And the silly part, Annie was just saying, like, we watched all these trucks in there, and there was all these cops there, and everyone sort of directing traffic into the scalies. This Subaru that looked like it had been to the Cape and back about 50 times went past all these cop cars and all those things. It had no rear door, like the opening door on the back. It was gone. So how the hell that got past that with no one chasing it, it beats me. But they're pulling trucks up and weighing them, so
they hammer the truckies, mate. And I know that trucks can be dangerous. The scalies just hammer the trucks, and it's time that they start hammering caravans and large boats and just people that are towing anything. Pull them over and bloody start putting them on the scales. And I'll tell you what, when people start copping $600 or $600 fines and getting a bloody defect sticker put on their vehicle for have been grossly overweight, caravan, and their GVMs are up the shit, the word will get around. Let me tell you, time for the big stick treatment. I think, mate. People, you can do as much education as you want. Arseholes will still put their head in the sand and plead dumb, and that's just human nature, mate. And the only fucking thing people understand is the big stick treatment, and sometimes that has to be done. Unfortunately, it has to be done. I'll tell you a quick funny story. Doing a big bloody operation with the scalies out on the highway one night. Anyway, I'm out on the highway and we've got the big cone and we've got all the lights and that. And I'm pulling the trucks over. Anyway, so before they get down to the scalies and the scalies bloody measuring their trucks and putting them on the scales and all that, I was checking their license, doing an RBT on them, making sure they were 000s and doing a quick check on their logbook to make sure that their logbook was filled out, because the scalies would thoroughly check it out when it got down further down the line. So I was like the first thing. So I pull this truckie over and I check his license, make sure he's got his license on him, RBT, 000s. Got your logbook filled out, mate? He goes, no, mate. He said, I'm not up to date. And I said, oh, you've got between now and when you get down to those guys to have it filled out, or you're going to cop some big fines. So anyway, he starts filling her in. Anyway, about 40 minutes later, I'm down the other end of the line. Bloody, there was no cars coming away. So I go down there and this truck's pulling out. And I see he toots his horn and he leans out his window and he gives me a big wink as if to say, thanks, mate. He goes, I got me logbook filled in time and I didn't get a fine. So he gave me a wink and a thumbs up. So he probably thought that copper's all right. He bloody looked after me, because a logbook ticket back when I was a cop was like $600 if they didn't have their logbook filled out. It was huge fines. Yeah. And I think it's time for the cops to bloody and the transport department to start cracking down on caravans, mate. People have had enough education. It's time to start bloody cracking down on them and see if we can put a stop to all this bullshit that's going on the highways. Should the cops and Department of Transport crack down on vans? I'm going to end the poll there, guys, and it's well, there you go. And as I said, what was it? Bloody 80-something% of the people in this thing tow, and even they've said, yes, the cops and Department of Transport should crack down on vans. 82% yes, 17% no. So there you go. What do you think of that, poll, Steve?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I mean, I think if you go by all the polls tonight, like at least 80-something% of the people have all voted yes to what we've been talking about. So I think the consensus out there is that we should have some sort of, test, or we should be doing some sort of training to sort of help us with our towing of vans and things like that.
Yeah.
And like we said, we don't know how that's going to go or how it's going to be implemented. It's going to take a few years, but hopefully it'll get people talking or get the politicians thinking about it, and something will get moving, because we need to do something to stop all these. I mean, I see it myself. Like, you see that many caravans and that out there, and you just say to yourself, how are they on the road?
Yeah, I know. And it's dangerous. It's not only dangerous to them, Steve, it's dangerous to us and other road users. And that's friggin' road safety is one of the biggest things, vehicles and that. And as Jared said, you can't stop bloody stupidity sometimes, but ignorance you can stop by bloody hammering people with defect notices and big fines. And watch caravanners start pulling their head in when they get a $600 fine for being grossly overloaded, and then, well, mate, go and fight it in court and plead ignorant to the magistrate. You've had all these years, we've been training, and I know the Queensland Police and Department of Transport have been doing a lot of training, pulling caravans over, saying you're overweight, giving them an education warning, but they keep doing it. So it's time to get the big stick out. Hey, guys, before we go, there's Snorky sent me a funny thing about caravans, and it only goes for a few minutes. I want to play it, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up, eh? Well, I know we've been on a long time. Thanks for hanging in there. We've still got 131 people on. Really appreciate that. The polls,
this bloke is good.
I'm quite surprised how high the polls were. I thought they would have been a bit lower, but the majority of the polls were people agreeing with what we were kind of saying tonight, guys. And it's all about safety at the end of the day, isn't it? It's all about safety.
Exactly right.
I think there's a lot of people out there now. Molly's come up with another question. Good work, Buck, Steve, and Rob, covering the topic. This will do more than what we can at the moment. Looking forward to the rant. Well, Brett, I spoke to Scaly the other day, mate, and I said, when are you going to start cracking down on it? And his reply was, when the government tell us to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all we need.
We need the government.
We need the government to crack down on it.
We need the transport minister to put a bloody rocket down range and say, too many caravan accidents, too many people burying their head in the sand. Department of Transport and bloody traffic highway patrol or road policing command, whatever it's called now, go to town on them and let's get them to pull their heads in. So thanks, Brett, for that, mate. I don't know. I think the truckies get hammered too much, and maybe the caravanners need to cop a bit of what the truckies cop. Anyway, let's watch a bit of this. This is quite funny. It's a comedy thing. You'll have a laugh, guys, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up, okay? It only goes for a few minutes. Present. Share screen. Here we go. This one here.
Steve found this one.
We'll go there. Can you see that, Snort?
Yep. Beautiful.
Test to become a caravaner. Yeah, thanks. What's your CVM? No idea. Correct. Everyone talks about the weather. What do caravanners talk about? Fuel prices. Correct. What's the point of a caravan? To easily get away from home. Correct. And what do you bring in your caravan? Every single thing from your home. Correct. What's the motto of a caravaner? More gear, more idea. Correct. What's the walk of shame? Carrying your poo canister to the dump point. Correct. Brutal. What's a caravaner's biggest fear? The guy who offers to help back your van. Correct. Well, hang on. There's a guy backing in now. Oh, he ain't going to make it. Ooh. Do you need a hand, mate? Anyway, when's the appropriate time to crack open a drink? Whenever there is time. Correct. Every caravaner has sunburn. Correct. Every caravaner loves burning wood. Correct. Every morning a caravaner has bacon and eggs and gets heartburn. Correct. What are the top 3 things you find at a caravan park? Bogans, people sitting on camping chairs just watching, and the entire contents of a BCF warehouse. By law, truck drivers have to take rest breaks and park in truck parking to do so. Where do caravanners park? in the truck rest stops. Correct. Where should they park?
True.
Anywhere else. Caravanners, you need to leave truck rest stops free for truck drivers. Truck drivers need to use dedicated stops to manage their fatigue hours. So caravanners, you need to pre-plan it and find a designated caravan stop or caravan park to pull up. Correct. What is similar about modern baby names and brand names of caravans? Some of them are called Jayco and the other 99% you've never heard of. Correct. A real Caravanner flex is an in-car UHF radio. Correct. And what's the only thing you use that UHF radio for? Unnecessarily talking to their partner over the radio while parking their van. Correct. What should they use it for? Talking to truck drivers on Channel 40 when they're about to overtake a truck, or listening on Channel 40 to the truck driver who's going to talk to them when they're overtaking you. Correct. Caravanners can use UHF radio Channel 40 to talk to truckies if you're going to overtake them, or for the truckie to talk to you if they're going to overtake you. Now, this is important. Maintain speed and do not slow down whilst the truck is beginning to overtake. Also, make sure you know what your safe maximum towing speed is and do not exceed this speed when being overtaken by a truck. Now, what's more difficult than brain surgery? Putting a fitted sheet on a bed in a caravan. Correct. King Arthur had his knights sit around a round table. A caravanner sits around what table? A Coleman half-folding table. Correct. Or one of these. Now, three-way fridge is popular in caravans. What other three-way is popular in caravan parks? Correct. From the perspective of the truck driver, what's more annoying? Two people having a private conversation in a group WhatsApp chat, or caravan drivers exceeding their maximum towing speed when being overtaken by a truck? The Caravanner. Correct. Caravanners are aroused by Yeti merchandise. Correct. Jason Bourne in The Bourne Identity has forgotten everything about himself. What does a caravanner forget? To take the little hose thingy off the tap. Correct. If caravanning was a TV show, what would it be? Curb Your Enthusiasm. Correct. What's the currency of caravanning? Phone reception. Correct. And finally, what are the two types of caravanners? Caravanners and caravanners with a Land Cruiser. Correct. Okay, you passed the test. Here's your caravan starter kit. There's a head torch in there, a Weber queue, an opinion on everyone's caravan parking skills, and a strange friendship you have with another family you only see once a year over a long weekend. Oh, okay. Thanks. This video was brought to you by the National...
I hope everyone enjoyed that one. That was quite funny. That was a comedy thing, guys, but there was a few things in there that were pretty true. There was one in there too. I remember when we were in a caravan park, Roz used to get the handheld UHF and guide me back and say, that's enough, or whatever. And she had the handheld, and I'd be on the vehicle mounted one. Well, we used to go on channel 15 or something. One day we forgot and we stayed on channel 40, and we're guilty of this. And Ross would go, come back a bit further. And someone goes, get up the fucking UHF, mate. And I just thought, oh, no, I'm on channel 40. And I come back and was like, get fucked. Anyway, but yeah, we were guilty of that. Getting on channel 40, and Roz has given me reversing directions with the Sirocco, but we used to switch over to channel 15. So if you are doing that, it's good to have you out there with a handheld, guys, but don't do it on channel 40 because the truckies gets with you because it can carry a long way. So anyway, thanks for sending that to me. That was quite funny. And
Steve found that one.
Oh, Steve said that one, yeah.
But I mean, I think there was a lot of truth in there than what we've been talking about tonight.
Yeah.
It was actually that was actually bought out. The Trucking Association actually paid that guy to do that commercial.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's what Annie just said there. Yeah.
Everything he said was pretty truthful in a funny sort of a way.
Yeah, but yeah, that's right. I think relations between truckies and caravanners, guys, is not good. And it's not good. And I know there's some bloody foul-mouthed, ignorant truckies out there, but I've seen caravanners do some shit, and I understand where the truckie. There's always two sides to a story, and there really is. But caravanners, we can do better. And I'm one of them. I tow a caravan, and after 5 months of driving around 5 states, I saw caravans do some stupid shit. Luckily, I didn't come across one of those accidents where someone's almost killed themselves and that. So, yeah.
I actually have one of the truck drivers that comes to work. He drives B doubles. And I always say to him, how'd you get on today with the caravanners? And he goes, I'll tell you what, he said, they're not getting too bad lately. He said, the ones you got to watch are those bloody RVs. He said, they're getting bloody horrendous.
The RVs, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So, anyway, caravanners out there, we can always do better. Truckies, I know there's some bloody truckies out there that are just, you only have to hear how they talk on Channel 40. A lot of the truckies are very professional. Some of them are just downright bloody rude pigs. Yep. But, there's always two sides to a story. Anyway, fellas, anything else we've forgotten to say? There probably is millions of things, but we've been on for 2.25 hours now. I think we'll wind it up, or we'll end up beating Phil the Maniac's record from last night. Phil, I thought he's going to go through to midnight last night. I thought, Phil, you're killing me. It was, So, Legends for Charity. That's coming along well. Only 12 months to that, guys, till the Legends camp up. Hope you're all going to that. At Boobarra down there near Warwick. The Legends camp, me and Roz and Rafa and McGidgey will be down there. Really looking forward to that. We won't have a caravan then. We'll be in an Oz tent. So I'll know.
You're welcome, no matter what you come in, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, tonight was all about education, guys, and to strike up a conversation, do a few polls, get people talking about it. Share this video. People probably won't sit down and watch 2.25 hours of three bloody diddly donks talking about it, but I hope we covered some good subjects tonight. I hope everyone's learnt something. Anyway, final poll, guys. Final poll. This is a quick final poll before we go, Snork.
Here we go.
Can't wait to see this one.
A serious question. Be honest, guys. Did you learn something tonight? I hope you all did. And if someone learned something tonight or took something away from this live feed, then it's been worth it. It's been worth us three coming on and thing. And it's a bit different to what we normally do, fellas. We usually come on and talk about camping and all that. But I think tonight's been good. I think it's been a success. It's a bloody important subject. And it's a subject that there's a lot of caravanners in Australia now. There's bloody lots of them. So
good night, Mark. Mark's going to sleep in Canada.
See ya, Slacken. See ya, mate. We'll talk again soon. And we're going to have Slacken on as a special guest soon, guys. We're going to have Slacken on from Canada on a Sunday morning, probably Sunday lunchtime soon. I think Slacken might be my new, my next special guest. Be good to have Slacken on. We can talk about grizzly bears and shit again like we did last time. Talked about bears for 3 hours. And beavers. Righto. So did you learn something tonight? Hang on, she's going up. We'll give it another couple of minutes. Anything, final comments, fellas, before we go?
No, well, I just think, thanks, Buck, for bringing up this question. I mean, I think it's something that's probably needed to be addressed for a while, and we're all been out on the road, and we only want to look out for people's safety and stuff like that. So hopefully something good will come out of it and get the conversation going. And there's been a lot of good questions and answers raised, so hopefully people
we missed a lot of them, mate. Sorry, guys, if there's been a lot of good ones up there, and we have missed a lot of things. And I always go back tomorrow on Sunday, and I replay this, and I like going through and watching the live feed comments and that. So 67% said that they got something out of tonight. So that's worth it. If 20% said if it was 20%,
I think you can go back and look at the comments, can't you, Rob?
Yeah, you can. It takes about an hour before you can do the replay, and the live chat replay comes up. So, but anyway, good night, everyone. Rob, Steve, thanks for joining me tonight, fellas. It was really good. I didn't want to sit here by myself and jibber jabber. You've had some great input, and I think we're pretty well all on the same sheet of music. And I'm not saying
I'll share it on everything in caravan and camping for you, Buck.
Buck's head's outgrown his hat. It bloody has. I can't believe how bloody much that hat shrunk. It's ridiculous.
You sure your head hasn't grown?
Ridiculous.
Exactly right.
It was. I never wore that. We used to wear a cap, and that was just for bloody when we went to court and things like that. No. But yeah. So anyway, Stephen Lou said great live feedback. Thanks, Stephen Lou. Nikki Slade 7. I don't know what that. I don't know what that means, Nicky. 7 what? 7
7 out
beers?
of 10.
Yeah, it's Nicky's obviously talking to someone. Jack Turtle. All the pies. Yeah.
Like Lewis,
all the,
like Paul.
Mr. Potato. Justin Dillon, Mr. Potato Head. I am, mate. I've got a head on me like a big bloody spud now. It's like.
Good night, Ty.
Ty, thanks for your input tonight too,
Yeah,
mate. I really do. Thanks for your input.
Like
Lewis
Nags.
Kodak.
Molly, if you're still in Innisfail, mate, get in touch with me. We'll catch up for a coffee.
Like Jared.
Molly was
Oh,
a bloody first year Connie when I was a copper in Innisfail, guys, and he did his first year constable program, and then Brett went over to it was called bloody traffic branch back in those days. So Brett specialises in that. I was a general duties cop guy, so I don't know a lot about traffic type shit. I was a general duties thing, but Molly was he's a traffic cop guy, so he knows his legislation and all that type of stuff. But yeah, love to see you crack down on the vans, mate. But it sounds like it's a bit, it's coming from a bit higher than you guys. Terry
Maniac's on there now too.
The Maniac's come on. He's just woken up. Trev Kelly, good night down there in Rocky. Landy Smurth, thanks for your input, mate, tonight. Paulie, the longest word. Paulie Martin at Martin is Martin's. How do you say that? Martin is Adventures. Get on and check Paulie out there. Thanks, Paul. Wixie, thanks for you, mate. Thanks for the thing. Lakey Reed, the diddly donk from Tasmania, he's on. He's down there around Sydney at the moment, saying goodnight to the Maniac. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks again, fellas, and hope you enjoyed
Brad
it.
Howell, good night over in where were they? Over in America?
Who's that?
Yeah, Brad and Mary.
Howell.
Oh, Brad and Mary over in Florida. Thanks, Brad. And
Yeah, night.
Brad's
Night,
Brad's just recently retired, and he said, I ain't dicking around with GCMs, GVMs, and all that. He said, I'm buying a Zone RV, and I'm going to bloody buy a Dodge Ram to tow it. So good on you, Brad. And when you get it, mate, I hope you really enjoy it. You've bloody deserved it. You really have. So night slacking.
Get on and check out Terry's bloody Coca-Cola chicken. I'm going to put a video up about that next week.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I did Coca-Cola ribs or something once on a cook up, and I'll tell you what, Coca-Cola does a good job in the camp oven. It's just the bubbly and then it comes down and it's like beef and Guinness stew. You know, the Guinness burns down and all the sugar puts all the flavour through the meat.
Yeah, well, Terry's going to do all the cooking.
At the thing.
Terry's I got him doing a video, and Terry stars in the video.
Oh, good stuff.
Night, boys. Past my bed. I see you, Nicky. Say good day to Jason for us too. Hope he's going well. Toddy, see you, mate. The Pump Koala. Thanks for tuning in. Dicko's Destinations. Lewis Kudlak over in West Aussie. Speaking of West Aussie, there was a double header in the rugby league over there tonight. I don't know how the Dolphins went. Roz.
Steve W, get off.
Pins down. The Dolphins lost. The Cowboys got done.
Get off.
And the Rabbits were playing someone. So anyway, good night, everyone. Take care. God bless. Catch you again soon, eh? Probably another week, and we'll do another live feed. See ya.
All right.